Mic testing. All right. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, let me fucking switch screens. Yeah, yeah. Let me do that shit. Hello. Welcome in, everyone. This is our fucking third day of being gay. Well, actually, we've been gay. Well, I've been gay all my life, but this is the third day of the week that we've been extra gay. How about that? Happy Pride. Happy Pride, chat. Happy Pride. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is the third day. It's already been going so great. Thank you so much for everyone that's been showing up to these streams, dude. Like, I appreciate y'all so fucking much. I really hope all of these prize streams have been helping y'all out. We've been talking about some crazy good shit, super awesome discussions, and yeah, I'm so thankful. Thank you so much to Red Claw, who's one of our guests today, for the raid. Thank you so much. I hope you had a wonderful stream. I think you were playing Helldivers. Thank you so much. Without further ado, to introduce everyone to what's going on for today, we have 6 guests today. 6 new guests from the VTuber sphere that are all under the LGBTQ umbrella. You know, if I can, if my mouth can keep up with my brain right now. We have Roy Kiato, Nick Nocturne, TFM Johnny, Red Claw, Adiosu, and Michaela Laws. So I'm super excited to hear what they have to say today. I've already had an outline set for our guests, but just so you guys know, our discussions can take any direction. If our guests want to talk about something specific that they want to bring up during Pride Month, that'd be super awesome, and we'll definitely try to discuss those things. I hope you guys really enjoy. I'll be bringing the guests in, I'd say, about 5 minutes. Let me make sure my cats are okay, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back, because I know they're going to be screaming for me in a bit. So hold on 1 minute, Jelly Beans. Okie dokie. Alright, thank you for waiting. I gotta invest in a cat cam one of these days, but I feel like if I install a cat cam, my cats will find any and every which way to mess with that camera, man. You guys know how cats are. At least they're eeping now. The fact you don't have one yet is wild. I honestly, yeah, I'm kind of shocked too, to be completely honest. You're right. We'll think about it. We'll put it on the to-do list, yeah? Alrighty. What is going on? All right, cool. All right, everyone, ready? Oh yeah, I saw that Sabrina Carpenter did a what do you call it? A cover of, oh my god, I'm gonna say her fucking name wrong. Chappelle? Oh fuck. Chappelle Roan? Is that her name? A cover of Good Luck Babe, and it is fire. It is fire. So, alright, it looks like they're ready. So I'm gonna start dragging them in. Please give a warm welcome to all of our guests today. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the stream. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
We were somewhere, now we're here.
Yeah, don't mind me.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Okay.
1.2 man.
Let me move you guys just a tad. I need to make you guys a little bigger so chat can see y'all, which means I gotta move this microphone over yonder.
Yeah.
Okay.
This microphone PNG I found on Canva and totally didn't cut.
Oh my god.
It's a budget day.
Yes, exactly. We make it work in these streets.
Oh yeah.
Okay, alright. I think this is good. Thank God you guys are coffee cup size to fit on the counter, I guess.
Right?
Very convenient.
Very convenient.
Why'd you say coffee cup? What's that about? What's going on?
Well, I drink a lot of coffee.
It's true.
You shamed me for drinking coffee the other day. That's insane.
You drink way
I
more
feel
coffee
that.
than I do.
Oh, I drink 2 cups. They're just large cups.
2 cups a day?
Oh, you
Oh.
do
Those
the,
cups
you do
the size
Bugs
of
Bunny
your head.
thing.
I do the funny thing, yeah.
Absolutely insane. All right, we're gonna.
Who
do...
among us has not? Well, Michaela has sensitivity to caffeine. We know that now.
We're gonna do a quick sound check before we move on. So I'm gonna go just in order, so then we can make sure chat can hear you guys. All right.
Yeah.
Audio.
Hi.
Damn,
Audio.
you're loud as fuck.
Words.
Okay, you're going to
Fine,
like
fine,
you're
here you go,
going to
honey.
0% actually.
No, right. You love me. Just say you're obsessed with me. Just a minute.
All right,
Oh my
Mariah
goodness.
Carey. Okay. All right, Michaela.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Damn. Okay. All right. Let's put you
Woo.
up to 120 because you deserve to belt those vocals.
Oh, thank you. You're
Hey.
much too kind. Thank you.
Of course. All right, and then we have Nick.
If I knew you were gonna flex like that, Roy and I would have hit the gym first. Damn, Michaela.
All right, Nick's volume is perfect the way he is. We got Red.
Hello.
All right, I'm gonna boost you to 150.
All right, sounds goody.
Yeah, that sounds good. Alrighty, and then Roy.
Hello.
Okay, you're gonna be 200%. All
Discord
right.
hates me.
And then Johnny.
Hello. Make sure to boost it up a little bit more so the stench comes through. The stinky wolf
Okay,
voice
so
thing
we're gonna
comes
go
So
to
that's what the
negative
smell was coming from.
1,000.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a trend of hatred here, Tyga. Just so you know.
Hmm.
Oh, it's very
On Pride Month, that's a little homophobic.
Oh,
Oh, my
damn.
goodness.
Wow.
Alrighty, guys. Alright, so I have an icebreaker. I do this with every single guest that ends up on one of these panels just to make it easier for the flow of conversation and to introduce you guys to chat. The icebreaker's super simple. Audio has already done it, so he gets to go last because I've heard enough of him already.
You are so obsessed with me. Honestly, we can go hold hands.
I
I'm down.
will go first as an example for you guys, alright? Sound good?
Mhm.
Sure.
Alright, so the icebreaker is your name, pronouns, your identities, so gay, bi, pan, trans, NB, or whatever. There's the other ones, I can't remember them off the top of my head. What type of streamer are you? And then a useless fact or talent. I mean, it could be just a funny one too, so just a random funny niche fact about yourself.
Mm.
So I'm Tyga, I'm a kitty bartender, a member of Invicta, also the babysitter of Invicta, I guess.
True.
If you-
Turn around.
I am aromantic asexual. I am a yapping streamer. I talk too much, but luckily people enjoy my content enough to listen to me talk for 6 hours straight. And a useless factor talent. I've said so many to chat already over the span of these streams that I feel like I'm running out of cool, funny facts. I'm pretty sure chat already knows, but I have metal kneecaps.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Still that I can't break them.
Oh.
Yeah. They're not, so when I hit the ground, like, you can hear, like, the hit really hard, basically.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. That's
I don't recommend. Back then, before, when airport security wasn't as advanced as it is now, they would always, you know, it would always ding because they would get the metal in my knees. And they'd use the stupid stick and they'd be scanning my legs and like, what are you hiding up there? Just my kneecaps, sir. Just my kneecaps.
just my kneecaps.
So, yeah, I guess that's a useless fact. Alright, so we'll go right to left. So audio is last. Totally not playing. Alright, go ahead, Johnny.
Hello, I am TFM Johnny, the stinky wolf boy. My pronouns are he, him. I am pansexual, but I also say bisexual if I don't want to explain what a frying pan is to people. Because some people don't know yet.
Fair enough.
But yeah. And then a fun fact about me is that not only am I stinky and I make jokes, well, mostly dad jokes, but I also sing. So there you go.
Okay, we have multiple singers in here. I can't sing for shit, so you don't want to hear that.
Oh. Anyone can sing as long as they can train up properly.
Oh
Yep.
shit. Well,
Time to karaoke, buddy.
we'll think about that after the panel. All right. Any useless facts or talents besides just singing?
Put me on the spot here. I'll get back to you. I have really bad memory. There you go. There's a useless fact.
all
I
right.
have terrible memory.
I got you. All right. Next up is Roy.
Hello. Hi everybody, my name is Roy Chiato, like a macchiato. I'm a bunny host VTuber. I specialize in voice acting, which you could say is one of the big draws, especially recently. I've pushed a lot of audio role plays and ASMR type stuff for like playing pretend, not so much the whispering type, but really acting and leaning into character stuff.
Okay.
'Cause I feel like that's a little bit more my speed. In terms of a useless fact, though. I am the #1 VTuber Power Rangers fan. I'm gonna say it right now.
Damn.
High Ranger, that's a powerful claim.
I was about to say Kane is rolling in his grave right now.
Listen, he's not dead. I'm gonna claim it over him just so we can start. You know, it'll be more fun that way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I watched Power Rangers growing up, but I don't know it like you guys do. I just watched it because I thought the people were hot.
Listen,
Valid.
Valid.
That is valid.
Just the fact. If you need to know anything about Power Rangers, I'm your guy.
We'll
Huge fan of Ultraman and
run
Sentai.
that track back later. I'll think about it. I don't know
Please
if I'm
do.
ready
Kane and I need
to
more
be
beef.
dragged into the cult. We'll see.
We'll get you. We'll get you, and anyone else.
And
your little dog, too.
Okay. All right. I ain't got no dogs. You already have the dog.
You got that dog in you.
No, don't say that. You'll be giving chat ideas.
You know the dog that
I'm
just
sure
goes,
there
meow.
Oh my gosh. All right, go ahead, Red.
Hello, my name is Red Claw. I'm a dinosaur, king of the dinosaurs. I'm a variety streamer. I make art. I play games. I do some improv stuff with some of my friends. Also a singer. Random fact about me: I survived Action Park.
What is Action Park?
Action Park is an amusement park that is nefarious for people dying.
Oh.
Oh.
And
Let's
I
see.
survived.
Action Park.
Oh, wait,
Didn't it have
I
like
need to see
that
what-
killer
I think
water
I
slide or
remember
something?
this.
They had the killer. They had the killer water slide. The killer wave pool. A lot of people died in that wave pool. I, for one, was
God.
pushed off the cliff jump.
They have a cliff jump?
Yep, and I got shoved off it, landed on my back, made it out. I lived.
What
my
the
God.
hell?
Can't keep a good
Wow.
king down.
We were built different back then.
That's actually crazy.
How
You
is
know,
the thing allowed to exist?
that's I had to say that.
Fun fact: it still exists. It was rebranded to now it's called Mountain Creek.
Wow.
Much more peaceful sounding, huh?
I'm looking at these pictures. They look fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yo, people are adrenaline junkies. I
Fair,
could
that
not
makes
do this shit. I'd fucking pee my pants, bro. Like this shit is scary.
All right, Tiger, we're gonna be jumping over a volcano
What?
soon here, buddy.
Yo, I have never been to Red Flags, actually. Is that what it's called?
You mean
Six
Six
Flags.
Flags?
My bad.
Red
My
Flags.
bad.
Is he about to jump on a pirate ship?
It's some flag. I have really severe motion sickness, so I stay away from like roller coasters and shit anyway. But seeing these pictures, oh my god, I feel like my fucking stomach will drop to my ass. What the
Wait,
fuck
have you
is
been on a boat
this?
before then?
Say that one more time.
Surprise.
Have you been on a boat before then?
Oh my god, don't me and boats got beef, okay?
Yeah.
When I first came to America, actually, I did come over by plane, but to get to the airport, I had to take a boat. I could not stop vomiting.
Oh no.
It was so bad.
No.
Getting free Tiger lore.
Oh my god. I hate boats. I hate boats. I will always be a land creature. I don't understand how people like being on cruises. Imagining my life being sea locked is crazy.
I'm something of a seaman myself.
Okay, all right. This is why he's last.
Oh, God.
This is why he loses his speaking rights.
You love me. What do you mean?
Oh my god. All right, go ahead, Nick.
Hello, I am Nick Nocturne. I am the host of Nightmind over on YouTube and by extension Nightmind over here on Twitch, member of Astroline. I go by he, him. I am a gay-leaning bisexual that I think upgraded to pan a couple times and I just
Okay.
didn't realize it until
enough.
recently. And let's see, fun fact. I've ridden an elephant. When I was
Nice.
much
Cool.
younger,
Oh,
I've got
okay,
very
okay.
hazy memories of it, but it always comes back as, wow, that was a thing that happened. All right.
Elephants are cute.
Very, very cute.
They are very cute.
I'm
One of
trying
my
to
favorite
think.
animals.
Have I ever seen an elephant?
You have now? Question mark.
Well, no, I'm thinking like in real life, I guess.
Oh, have you been to a zoo? Perhaps.
I have, but I cannot recall if I've seen an elephant, which is really funny to mention because I'm pretty sure I live near an elephant reserve.
Ooh.
Hmm.
I think I have to do that. I have to put that on the bucket list. I've just been kind of lazy. All right, how about you, Michaela?
All right. Well, I'm Michaela Laws. I'm technically a variety streamer. I have way too many job titles that would literally make Daenerys Targaryen a little jealous. Pronouns are literally you pull a pronoun out of a hat. That's my pronoun for the day. I am also a hypersexual demisexual.
Mhm.
Consider that for a moment. And one weird fact about me is I'm actually a triple threat. So I do singing and acting online, but outside of the camera, I also practiced in dance. Right now, I have practiced in ballet, jazz, tap, contemporary, hip hop, and right now I'm trying to practice burlesque and high heel hip hop.
Nice.
Wow,
Gee.
damn. I wake up and hope for the best every day.
Every day I breathe air.
Every day
Every day I wake up.
Every
Yeah.
time we wake up, yeah.
I tried to survive. Damn, that's actually lots of respect to you, Michaela. That's a lot.
I mean, it's kind of a useless fact right now because it's not like I can do them on the stream for literally anyone. It's just like, yeah, I have my tap shoes. I can do the little noises once in a while.
That's cool though. That's super cool.
Thank you.
Building out the
Alrighty.
skill tree.
Last and not least,
That's
audio.
Are you sure you want me to go at this point? Like,
No,
listen,
you gotta go.
I have an entire thing for you. Do you want me to read this document? I made it just for
Document.
you.
All right.
Hi, my name is Adiosu. Normally, I break the norm by being really weird, cringy, and I don't do introductions properly. But for one time, maybe I'll do it right for you. I am a variety streamer. I used to be a competitive professional esports player. I have dabbled in most of the industries in the world. Currently, I'm a PR and manager executive, and I've actually worked on a few VTubers behind the scenes that you may or may not know.
Yo, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I do
Oh,
stuff
cool.
like teach people to talk good and not fuck up in front of the camera.
Okay, okay.
And my fun fact is actually also my sexuality. It's a very unknown entity known as homosexuality.
Pardon me. Say that again, please.
Excuse.
Yeah, see, I used it to tell people I'm bi because I just got really exhausted of that response, but I've learned to embrace it a little bit more. It's homosexual.
Ooh, I've actually just never heard of it, so that's why I was just very curious. Like, what is it called?
Yeah.
again?
I'm interested.
Homosexual.
All right. Well, let's start with that then. So our next topic of discussion after our introductions was our coming out stories. How did we, figure out our sexualities, what identities, stuff like that. It's all you, buddy. You started the conversation. So.
Well, it was a long journey. I started out cis male straight and stuff like that. I grew up in obviously talking back to the Asian panel. I grew up in like a very straight kind of Christian Buddhist household where it was just like we only had one. My uncle was the only one who was gay, and I talked to you about this in private. But he was the basically the founding person who made me like realize, oh, it's okay not to be like everybody else,
Right.
and to like embrace being different from like my social and cultural norms. And then I started being like, oh, women are hot. And I saw some like my handsome friends, and I was like, damn, men are hot. And then I saw some people like I couldn't tell what their gender were, and I was like, androgynous people are pretty attractive. And I was like, I like identities. And I went through this very long, like 6-year period of like trying to figure out, I was like, oh, I think I'm bisexual. Am I bi-curious? And then like more and more labels popped up left and right. People like telling me what I am and what I'm not. Some people are like, are you sure you're not gay? Are you sure you're not straight? Are you sure you're not just bi-curious? Are you sure you're not just a slut? And I was just like, I don't know. And the more and more I talked about it, and the more and more I decided to like do my own research. And I guess it's like one of those things where you just kind of have to define yourself. The less and less I felt like I fell into those orientations. And then I did some when I did my traveling, because I traveled around the world a lot. I ran into a gender professor, essentially, is what he referred to himself as. And he's just like, have you ever heard of homosexuality? And I was like, I don't think anybody has, but go ahead, tell me. And basically there's a bunch of ways to go about it, but if you Google it, it essentially tells you that it's somebody who doesn't fix in with sexual orientations, and mainly the labels. And some of it's like refusing to, some of it doesn't want to like be around it. Some people just don't know how to like actually situate themselves in anyone specifically and feel like at home. And it's this weird artistic thing. I can go on and on about it, but TLDR is it felt more at home and more welcoming to be like, I'm a little bit of everything. And I can't really situate and put myself in a place and feel welcomed in. So this is the closest I have to a home.
Well, the more you know. You're just one special little guy.
That's
I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I've never heard of the term until you told me, and it's really funny to think about now, because then I think about it and it's like, damn, would that apply to me? And then I'll think about it a little more. I'm like, no, probably not. But it's super interesting to learn that, there's so many other terms out there in the world. You know what I mean?
That was the big thing about it, though, is that it challenged, because it came out in like the 1990s, and it challenged the norm of like all the all the new genders and sexualities that were coming out. It was challenging them that you shouldn't have to be like, back then it was like LGBT and only that, and it was like it was constantly challenging like having to fit in any one of those categories.
For sure. It's very interesting. Yeah, no, because I was telling Chad the past few days, I only just recently figured out that I was Arrow Ace. This is coming from someone that was a slut. I did everything under the sun, and it was just to figure out what the hell was wrong with me, right? Because I could do everything that was expected, but I didn't feel anything or feel any sort of type of way. And it just got to the point where I finally found out about being Arrow Ace, and I was like, wow, this is it. Like, this is the one. So I think that's like definitely how it feels when you finally find something that, is relatable. Because at the end of the day, labels aren't like the end all be all of who you are as a person. They're just there to help guide you to figure out what you want to make of your own identity, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. That's what I really like about the vibe I was getting from what Audiosu was saying, is that suddenly you did meet somebody who had granted, it was a case of none of these terms fit, and then there all of a sudden there was a term, but it's like, okay, finally, there's something that feels like the finally moment. So it's
Yeah.
awesome that you were able to meet somebody who had that for you. It's like, hey, you know, if nothing else is fitting, there is kind of a way to just catch that
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
and feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. How about you, Michaela?
Well, mine's unfortunately a little bit of a darker story.
Okay, no worries. No
I'll try
worries.
and be as light with it as possible. Well, with my sexuality growing up, I was always grandma's good girl. I'm gonna get married, have kids, have a husband, blah 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 blah. Thought it was straight for the longest time, and then I found the internet.
As one does.
Yeah. So the unfortunate part of the internet is this was during a time where moderation was not a thing. Adults and children were constantly talking to each other. And I unfortunately was a victim of not one, but two grooming attempts because I was just naive. I didn't know what was going on. And these adults were teaching me not necessarily love, but like how to explore your body is the TOS friendly term of it.
Mhm.
So for years and years and years, I kind of fell into these situations where I thought love meant this, where like it was fully sexual. It was fully like a giving or receiving or something like that. And when I finally had a little more brain cells going into high school, um, it came down to like, well, okay, so now that I have moderation now in my internet life, now that I have a safe place to kind of talk about like my feelings rather than just letting adults kind of guide me forward, where do I stand? And mind you, this kind of helped develop, unfortunately, the hypersexual side of me, because hypersexuality, while it has sexuality in the title, it is not a sexuality on the LGBTQ plus scale. It is actually a trauma. It's actually a trauma identity, like, not, I wouldn't call it a disorder. It would more be like a situation. Forgive me for asking for a better term, but like it's a state of mind essentially, where
Mhm.
it's you can easily get triggered into having extreme sexual desires. Like trauma response. Thank you so much, chat. But with that, I'm just like, well, that can't be the case because it's not from people. My hypersexuality doesn't come from people anymore. It comes from other situations. So finding my sexuality in balance to that is always it was always a big struggle for me. So I figured, you know what, I'll stay straight for as long as possible and maybe it'll come and hit me in the face. And lo and behold, it did after I had a major breakup with a partner of mine, where I was just like, I'm just gonna sign off on love. I'm gonna sign off on everything. And I found myself more interested in people's personalities and intellect rather than their bodies or rather than what they were physically able to give.
Mhm.
Um, Perhaps this was due to my hypersexuality. Perhaps this was due to like the disconnect I had with how my past kind of shaped me. But more so, it turned out where like now my current partner, husband, Brian, he taught me like it's okay to have that safety and have all of this and be able to accept your hypersexual side, but also know that your heart can lead to a different direction. And my hypersexuality is not contingent of me loving someone.
Mhm.
So me being demisexual, demi-romantic, it's more of just it kind of clicked that it's so weird to talk about this in terms of just like my history with it. So I apologize
No,
if
of
I
course.
get a
Take your
little weird.
time. No worries.
Um, I can't find happiness with someone unless it's a closer intellectual or personal connection. So
Mhm.
that's where when someone says, "Oh, you're Demi," it's like, what does that mean? Oh, well, that means you have to know someone first. You can't necessarily rely on, oh, they're so hot, you just want to do X, Y, and Z with them. It's more of just you have to have a friendship, be able to trust them, do all of the stuff, and then you feel open enough to give your body or to give your heart in like that. It's like, oh, that makes sense. That tracks. So while the opposite extremes come from both hypersexuality, which is my trauma, and demisexuality, which is me being able to trust and have confidence in my partner, it's a fun balance, and that's sitting on that for a long ass while. I'm like, yeah, this fits. I don't think anything else could fit. It's awkward at times when everyone's like, but if you work in NSFW stuff, you write bondage, you write the most monstrous, heinous, sinful stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm still a person. So yeah.
And that's real and true. You know, it's really funny you mentioned that. I think on the first panel, there was another guest that was asexual, under the ace spectrum. And it was really funny how we kind of just talked about, you know, people under the ace umbrella can draw some of the craziest shit, write about the craziest shit, but don't really care about being a part of it at all.
It reminds me of this TikTok where it's just like, oh, that character is so hot. I want to hold his head. And then the asexual partner comes in. I want them to take me into the kitchen and bend me over and smack me with a spatula.
That is a line straight from 50 Shades of Grey. No, because I am a person, I love reading. I read a lot. And I remember when I picked up 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see what's so bad about it. Okay, I will do it. I'll do a solid for everyone else in the world. I think I did not get far. I think I got maybe I'd say a third of the way into the book. And what's the guy's name? Christian Grey? I think he's
I think it's something like that, yeah.
He's making pancakes. And then he slaps the girl's ass with a spatula, and I closed the book and never touched it again.
Valid.
Thank you for your service.
So, after that, I was like, damn, I can't look at spatulas the same.
No.
Because I think he used the spatula to cook again. And I was like, damn, that's gross. That's
That's just a health concern.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You have batter all over your butt. It's just like, how am I supposed to sit down now? And I have to go to the shower, take a shower, wash off, make sure I don't get a yeast infection. Ugh.
Wow.
But yeah, no, for a while back, I looked at the word demi and I was wondering if that would work for me too, right? I was like, maybe the reason why I'm like this is because I just haven't found the right person yet. But many years have passed and I kind of just realized that that's never gonna happen. Maybe that sounds really sad, but I'm okay with that. I came to terms and kind of realized I don't need that, you know? And finding and figuring that out for myself really honed into just realizing that I don't have to find correct labels for myself unless I really want to. So it's really interesting your connection to hypersexuality and demisexuality, demi-romanticism from the things that you've experienced. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm sure people in chat also really appreciate you bringing that up and going into that. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much for allowing me to just kind of stumble in that conversation.
Oh, it was good.
No worries, no worries. Alrighty, how about you, Nick?
Well, it was good, Michaela, and you actually, I love what you said at the end, because when people react to you and they're like, but you are so sexual with this stuff, and you can do all this writing and everything, and you said, but I'm still a person though, and you actually reminded me, and I forget all the time, is I'm definitely some more demi than not, because it still falls in line with me too, of I could not do random. I could not do bars, I could not do hookups, unless it's a good 2 hours of conversation with somebody and I realize, wow, I really like you. And we've had deep philosophical discussions, and it's I know your brain before I know your body, so now let's roll. So it's you've kind of reminded me, and I forget all the time that I'm on that wavelength, because it just seems like such a natural thing to me of it's just my nature of how are you gonna slam with somebody you don't even know, that you haven't even had a good conversation with?
Right?
It's just for me, it's no, literally, no offense to anybody who's able to roll like that. It's just for me, it's I couldn't. I literally couldn't. If there's not a basis of friendship there, if not a basis of I know who this person is and we've clicked and the vibes are good, it's that's half the foreplay. You know?
Oh yeah.
But, so I appreciate that and everything that you share with your story. Mine is kind of funny, kind of tough. I actually remember today thinking about this later is my very first exposure. And of course, with this kind of conversation, it's like, yeah, we got to take the masks off a little. So out of character talk, I remember my very first exposure to anything that was not straight was sitting down with my family, just as we would do around dinners. We would have a little TV on a ledge in the kitchen, and we were watching King of Queens, which was a common thing that was just on during that time. And it had that what Patton Oswalt's character had TiVo for an episode. And then he was going through TiVo, and one of the punchlines of the jokes was that TiVo would make recommendations. And TiVo ended up recording a whole bunch of things where the punchline was Patton Oswalt suddenly standing up off his couch and shouting, "TiVo thinks I'm gay!" And you know, the crowd laughed, and the canned studio laughter. And I kind of just raised my eyebrow because I don't understand the joke. And I look at my dad and I'm like, what's that mean? And my dad, of course, being a married man, kids, the whole thing, way back in early 2000s, just kind of, you know, he didn't sigh, but you could tell by the tone of voice of, oh boy, here we go. He says,
Time for the talk.
well, gay is when men like men. And I kind of balked at that. It's like, what? You're kidding me.
Thing?
What? That's a thing? And I just, it immediately hit me like, that's weird. Okay. And so I kind of shrugged that off, but it rattled around in my brain. It's like, that's a thing. All right. And so, you know, going through natural course of life, coming up in school, then you start to hear more about it. And then the cases in which you hear more about it are not positive cases coming from other kids, especially growing up in the 2000s. And you get an idea of what it is. You get caricatures that are sold to you of what gay is. And so you shrug it off and you laugh. You laugh with your boys like, yeah, no, I'm not that. Nah, none of us are that. I couldn't in 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then something happens. 7th grade. I remember this so clearly. And I imagine that plenty of other guys have had this experience too. I got sent up to detention. Fun fact for anybody who knows me. Yeah, I might be a smart guy on the internet. I was a fucking terrible student. I was absolutely awful because I love learning, so I hated school. I was a terrible student because it's just that whole thing. So I was not on a roll. I barely graduated. I got detention a lot too. So I ended up in detention in 7th grade. And I remember sitting down for detention, and some other guy gets detention and he rolls in. And oh, poor sweet little me. I had no idea what was happening. He comes through and he sits down, and I notice that it's basically just me and him there. And I keep glancing over at him, and I'm like, why do I keep looking over? And there's just this sense in me. It's like, well, we're both here. Might as well make some conversation. Might as well make some jokes. So I make some jokes about how we're both in detention. Some other things, you know, make him laugh, make him smile. And I'm realizing, wow, that feels really good, making this guy laugh, making this guy smile. And I wanted more of it. And I realized slowly but surely how much I was enjoying it. And the atmosphere was different. The feeling was so different than when I was hanging out with my friends. I had no idea right then and there I was discovering it. It's like, but I go back all the time. I think, when did I know? That's when I knew, but I didn't consciously understand it. That, whoops, I'm not straight. I really liked that. And he was so cute too. I knew it, but I couldn't accept that for myself. I couldn't confront and embrace that. But whenever I would see him around, I just get those feelings. And I tried to ignore, I think, a few times, the butterflies that were kicking it.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it's like, oh shit, something's happening. But slowly but surely, I did start to personally kind of confront that and realize, okay, something's happening here. But there was a problem, and it persisted for years throughout high school and then just after, because the idea of what gay was so enforced from every angle that I was exposed to it as this caricature, limp wrist, effeminate, lisping. You know, it's what the media loved to sell as the picture of gay, which was unkind. It was cruel. It punched down, and it did not fit with who I was at all, because I've very much been very classically masculine. I had no way to relate to that experience or that kind of personality. And anybody who was in school at that time who was openly gay, they were openly gay because they fit those hallmarks. And it was frankly terrifying to be in an environment knowing this is what the picture of gay is. This is not who I am. If I even start to approach it a little bit, I'll be ridiculed. Will I lose my friends? Probably. So I just had to struggle with it. And I had my moments here and there of, as everybody does, of realizing, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. And I'm getting signals from other guys, but it's like, there was just a thing that kept clicking in my head of, yeah, it's not going to happen this way. And then I would shove it down. So I struggled for years with being bisexual, and that it would go back and forth of, you know what, I think I like men more. And then another half of my brain said, okay, but we're not in a position right now to deal with that. So let's save that for way down the line. I literally carried that, kind of just shove it in the back of your brain and we'll deal with it later, right into the first 2 years of doing Night Minds. I didn't even confront it until I was basically set up in a position where I had established myself and I had this as a career online. And it kind of hit me all at once when I finally started to calm down and settle and look around and just breathe as a person. And I had had enough exposure to other guys who weren't straight, who were not that picture of that caricature. And I realized it took meeting them and having those kind of mentor figures to let down my guard and accept, yeah, if you shoved this down, it's because you were pushed into that by all the signals that were around you. And it doesn't have to be that, and it can be okay. So it took years and years to accept it. And when the first person I came out to before my mother was a dog. I sat down on steps and basically I looked at this dog that we were effectively dog sitting. And I kind of pat her on the head. And I started crying. It's like, listen, I've got nobody else to tell right now, but I finally realized something. And then after that, a few stages into having lunches with my mother, I understood I can't hold this in anymore. I have to let her know. And she was as loving and accepting as she's always been. And my father was too. I just that they have always been very much, we love you no matter what. But you have that from your parents, and at the same time growing up, dad being dad and your uncles being your uncles and still being part of that gays culture, you hear the jokes and it makes you doubt a little bit. But
of course,
yeah, to finally bring the long story short, I ended up meeting my partner, who has been my partner ever since I met him. And it was after I met him that I fully came out to dad and other people, because it's like, well, I'm accredited now. I've slept with a guy. I can tell people I have this. And it's like, I've got a guy. That's what's going on. And everything went completely well. And it's been well. But that's my story with it.
That's super awesome. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. How is the dog still around?
Oh, that was a case of I'm sure she's still around with whoever she's with. It's just that we were kind of dog sitting her at the time, because it was the dog of somebody my father was seeing. But she was very sweet, very much an old mother kind of dog. She had her litters and she was getting on in age. So
she could hold your truth for herself just for a little bit. That's really cute. That's
Absolutely.
really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys mentioning at the start of your story, it makes me laugh. about the demi thing and not being able to just, just readily sleep with people. This is gonna make me sound crazy,
Jesus.
okay? I think you guys saying that really like put into perspective, and I was like, oh man, that must be why I can't be demi, because I slept around.
There's
Well,
nothing, well, I mean,
but
there's nothing wrong with it.
no. Listen. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
So I was like, it's like, yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but let me put it into perspective for you guys. So when I was younger, I always knew something was off about me, right? Because a bunch of kids would always talk about the crushes they had in class, and I would like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't understand. Like, crush the soda? I don't have crushes on people. I don't know what that means.
Damn. Crushes with thighs.
But they would always force me to pick someone to have a crush on, right? And I picked this random girl in elementary school, and they kept putting me together in random situations with her. Few weeks passed, she looks at me straight in the eye. You don't like me. Well,
Whoa.
no, I like you.
Oh.
No, you don't. Shit, you got me. My hands are up.
Hands up.
A few years pass, a little more. My ex-best friend and I were out at the mall, and I saw these two girls holding hands. I think this was like middle school. And, in my head, I was like, oh, that's cute. This man said every single nasty slur you could ever think of back in the 2000s.
Oh,
And that put it into perspective, like, oh shit, am I not supposed to be okay with that? Because in my head, I almost wanted to hold hands with him. And after he said all that shit, I was like, well, I guess I can't be doing that. Fast forward a little more, we get out of high school. And college happens, and I'm like, all right, it's college time. I need to figure out my shit. Like, what's wrong with me? I've never dated. I've never had sex. Like, am I just a prude? And like back in the day, it was like everything was always like a symbol of status if you figure something out for yourself. And I think like during that time, I just wanted to figure out like why I wasn't like everyone else. I wanted to fit in so fucking bad. Freshman year of college, I'm at a frat party. I'm drinking, and this couple comes up to me and asks me to go upstairs with them. I was only like 18. I did not think of what we were gonna do. I thought we were just gonna go upstairs and talk about Pokemon cards or something. Genuinely, I didn't know what was gonna go on. We go upstairs, and they invited me to bed with them. And I think I made pretty much the fastest, quick, second split decision I ever made in my entire life. I walk out, or I sleep with both of them, and figure out right then and there if I'm okay with both genders. I was also really drunk, so that didn't really help either. So the next day, I wake up, I'm like, oh my god, I did that. Run out. And I go to class, and, everything kind of goes full circle at that point. I was like, okay, well, I can sleep with anyone, I guess. Like, that's not an issue for me. But then it only hit me when I was sober that I was only doing it because they asked me to. And I didn't really... I feel like I felt like the biological pleasure out of, like, doing those actions. But there was nothing that really incited anything enjoyment-wise for me to keep doing that. Later on in life, I just kind of just started going around just trying to figure out, maybe like I just need to find that person, and I just kept going and going, and I even ended up being a professional dominant for a while at a BDSM club. And it's just going and going, and it kind of just like every single time I kept working with people and feelings and sexualities, it kind of just came to terms where it's like, damn, I don't feel anything. I just do it because people ask me to. And to be honest, like for me, that's fine. I enjoy making my partners happy, but for myself, I don't need it. And it's really funny that you guys mentioned that at the start for the demi thing. I know, like, it's not like a clear-cut way to be demi, but it's like, damn, putting it in perspective for myself, it's like, damn, I did all of that shit, and I thought I was demi for like a few minutes and then really put into perspective. It's like, oh no.
100%. I think it's completely valid the way that you're able to kind of like discern that. That's the beautiful thing about being part of the spectrum is that essentially all of us have had some sort of experience of changing labels or even trying out labels and seeing if they
For
work.
sure, yeah.
And so, like for me, it's funny enough that when I was telling my story, my brain continuously telling me like, is this truly demisexuality or am I just like not like just holding myself in and then just opening up like a pansexual? It's like
Right.
there's different ways that you can kind of view it. And I think in true fashion, if you feel comfortable with that label, then that's the one for you. And if it doesn't work out, then it's still completely valid to be like, hey guys, I'm X, Y, and Z, and then turn around 24 hours later, hey guys, I tried. That doesn't work for me. Sorry, I'm gonna go with another label. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because then it like goes back to audio talking about homosexuality.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like, damn, the spectrum is so big and wide. That's
I
why
heard you pat yourself on the back just now.
I had to think about it. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck is it called? But no, this is honestly like having these discussions is what like really made me want to do panels like this. Because it's not about just, giving the opportunity for you guys to just talk about your stories, but just in general that we all get to learn from each other. And that's what I really love.
I hope we can get to a time where talking about sexuality, finding your own sexuality is more than just like well, I like men, so I must be gay or whatever, like, and I know this leans into my sexuality of like getting away from like labels. I just hope that we can get to a point where people just find an area that they're comfortable with and it feels like home. They don't have to be like, they don't have to shove it in people's faces. They don't have to make it their entire lifestyle, but it's they're born the way they are. They live the way they are. And it's just acceptable. It's like breathing to them.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely agree. Alrighty. How about you, Red?
I will do my best to keep it not too long. Oddly enough, I'm not gonna lie, I found a lot of relation to like a lot of the stuff that like Nick was saying. So also I just realized I completely forgot to say during my intro, I identify as pansexual demi-romantic.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
So when I finally came to terms with it, it was already awkward because I was already in a cisgendered marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, what's it called? Still married, but yeah, no, it was like full come to terms with it, already married. But they're like looking back, there should have been more signs. But a lot of them got either ignored or in my case somewhat repressed because of a lot of different reasons. One of the big reasons being I'm lifting the veil of character. I'm a Puerto Rican guy who was raised by relatively I don't want to say like staunchly religious, but very Christian, like a very Christian household.
Oh yeah, that was an element for me too.
Because let me preface, like I love my family. They are not the bad type. Let me put it this way. When I decided to not go to Sunday school and the nuns told my mother that I was going to burn in hell, she hung up on them and said, we're not going to that church anymore. So, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So like, I love my parents. But the other thing was, what's it called? I grew up in the part of quote upstate New York where everyone in the town believed they were from Mississippi.
Oh.
So being a Puerto Rican was already tough. Imagine being Puerto Rican and also not straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not the best environment for that. Not the best environment for that. And I was very much the scrawny nerdy kid. I watched anime. I was the only one that was open about watching anime. And I was not that into sports. I was not into a lot of like what would be considered hyper masculine things. So because of that, I did get bullied a lot. Even by people that like I considered friends, because you know what you do. You know what you do. You like when you're in a situation where everyone's a bully, you try to befriend the bullies. and sometimes that don't work. And so what ended up happening was basically I would go to school, get bullied, go home and not leave my house. And this was around the time when everyone started getting the internet. And
Yeah.
this is around the time when everyone started getting the internet. And unfortunately, and for better or worse, my first sexual interaction was with a freaking I think it was literally like a sex dating site, like email, like junk email that my father received.
Okay.
And so I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And so like I'm just like, wait, this is a thing? You can just look this up? so like that led to like just like again like curiosity. Like I think I was maybe like 11 at the time. So that led to like looking things up, and that's when I ended up finding websites that I was way too freaking young to find. That was like my first interaction with anything sexual in any way. And while just looking through all that stuff, I did start seeing things like gay porn, trans porn and stuff like that. And I was like, this is interesting. I'm getting the tinglies from watching the stuff that isn't just like women and stuff like that.
Right.
And at one point, I do remember this. At one point, I made a joke with a friend who was over at my house about kissing, and my father freaked out, because not in a bad way, but he freaked out because his late brother was gay. And so my father hears me make the joke, demands that I come into his room. So I go to his room and he's like, okay, what's going on? Are you gay? I was like, what? He's like, well, you just said you were gonna like kiss him. I was like, it was a joke. It was like he was freaking out so much that like it imbued in my mind, oh, that was bad. Not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because my dad had such a visceral reaction. And I didn't understand what was the reason for the reaction. It wasn't like he was mad. It was just very prying, like very much like, are you gay? Are you gay? Why did you make that joke? Okay, but like if you are, you have to tell me. And so it was very much like I did not like that response. And I learned from that, okay, so this is bad. Don't joke about that. And you're not supposed to feel like that. Okay, got it. And then so that compounded with the bullying, which again, it was like late 90s, 2000s, where again, the easiest bullying joke is to call somebody gay. So it was very quick. I was very quick to be like, okay, I'm not allowed to feel this way at all. I cannot talk about it. I cannot mention it, because if I do, it is bad. So for years, I just like, nope, totally straight. No. I dated girls exclusively. Barely even had any friends that were guys, because again, I was just like, nope, can't have that. So, and then, so like fast forward, like, as years are going by, like I'm still finding that like, no, there is a physical attraction to people that aren't just biologically female. And I'm just like, okay, still feeling this, but I can't talk about it. At least not with people, not unless like they're people I really, really trust. Then I went to art school where nobody's straight.
Yeah.
Then I went to art school where nobody's straight. And that's where I started learning about the entire spectrum of gender and sexuality, like pansexuality, bisexuality, like demisexuality, stuff like that. All of that like just hit me like a wave, and I was like, oh, okay, there are people like this. Okay, and then I just started learning more, but I was still very hesitant. I was still very hesitant to like be open about it. So like I would make jokes like if someone was like, "Oh my gosh, like Henry Cavill is so hot," and I was like, and I would always make the joke like, "Yeah, no, like if I wasn't straight, I'd be into him," like that type of stuff. I was into Henry Cavill. He is a very handsome man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is a very handsome man.
Absolutely.
And then eventually I ended up dating my now wife for a very long period of time, and we had a lot of open discussions about it. And then I discussed with her like, hey, like have you ever thought about this type of like attraction and stuff like this? And she was like, yes, no. And she came out to me and she was like, I identify as pan. I was like, wait, what? She never told me. And I was like, wait, really? She's like, yeah, no, she never cared about things like gender or anything like that when it came to sexual attraction. Like she was attracted to just people. And I was just like, I've been feeling like this since I was 12. But I just never knew I didn't think it was okay. And she was like, yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. And then I asked her would you still be okay if we were together and I identified as this? And she said absolutely. And so that happened, and it felt so freeing. And at the time I used the term bi because similar to what people have mentioned before, explain to people pansexuality can be a headache. So so at the time I would tell people I was bi, but the thing was feeling so free and feeling so accepted in saying it. I was like, oh, I want to tell everybody now. And I was like, oh, my family and I are going to go visit my brother who's in college. We're all going to be together. I'll tell them there. That was a bad idea. Chat, don't do that. That was a bad idea because visiting your sibling or someone important in college should be about them. Do not make it about you. That was a bad idea. Mm-hmm. But we get there and we have dinner and everything, and then I tell my parents, and I tell my parents that I identify as bisexual, and I probably got the worst reaction I could have gotten. It was my mother, and she asked the question, if you're bi, then why did you marry your wife? Because unfortunately it was my parents grew up in the frickin', again, they were adults during the late 90s and early 2000s where bisexuality wasn't a thing. It's just literally there were jokes about how it's just the road to gay town. So they were confused and they were concerned. But after my brother was fine. He understood immediately, was perfectly fine with it. However, after explaining it for they were very after understanding, they were very understanding, they were very welcoming, they were very kind, and they were obviously we still love you, we accept you just the way you are, and all of that stuff. But it took a while to get them to understand that I was not straight, but I was also not gay. I was pan. And then when it came to and the big thing that I was finding when it came to being demi-romantic was that sexually I could really be physically attracted to anybody, but romantically it very much was no, we're not being serious unless I legitimately like you as a person. They're you basically I told this to my wife. I'm I would only ever date or be in a relationship with someone who's essentially my best friend, because I could not be in a romantic relationship just with anybody. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty much it. It was basically years of, I guess, denial just because of an environment that was not welcoming to it, followed by being suddenly hit with all the rainbows and understanding, and then finally just coming to terms with it with my own family. And like I said, to this day, they're very understanding, very, very loving. What's it called? I've been married to my wife for now 7 years, and we're still going strong. And yeah, that's about it.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, man. That was a good
I
story.
do relate so hard to, like you said, very related to my. It's like I'm hearing some of the things he said. It's like, oh, yep, nope, I've been there. I've been there. And oh my god, especially being raised in a family of where the men are men, you know, they're hard workers. They're machismo. It's like they love to talk about women. It's like, yeah, women.
Yeah,
I feel that maybe
them ladies.
two times out of a week. You
Can I
know,
ask an honest question? Is that somebody comes from an Asian family? Is that actually normal for like other cultures to like be like men talking about men, like literally like fathers and brothers and stuff like that, being like talking about ladies and stuff like that? Is that actually normal?
So my dad, I would say is very much an old school gentleman, but he was, but like, let me put it like, what's it called? Super respectful, super respectful to women, would not talk down to women at all. That being said, he did show me my first R-rated movie, and it was Harold and Kumar.
Oh my god.
So,
all right. Well,
take that as you will.
it definitely depends on the family, and maybe it does depend on the culture. But I'm a first gen American, honestly. My immigrant father, definitely a case of, you know, European stock hard workers, and my father was very much the same case of, yes, he's very respectful to women, talking about them, and with his brothers as well, my uncles, but there definitely was that air of, oh yeah, you know, and just from the stories that my father would tell, I grew up knowing my father was a lady killer. He was a romantic. He had a score. And when you are your father's son, and your father has a body count, and you know about it, there is that hope in his eyes of, will you follow in my stead, son? And to this day, it's like, well, father, I did, but not in the way you expected.
Got a different kind of bodies.
Does the internet count, Dad?
Does that count?
Yeah,
I would also definitely say, like, from a from a Puerto Rican, like, Latin perspective, at least from my family, the bigger thing when it came to like men was like, and that role was very much the more traditional, work hard because you're the one that makes all the money.
Yeah, just like the stereotypical heteronormative type of view. Yeah, it's really funny because with me and audio, at least, like, from what I've learned in Asian culture, I don't feel like, even with like other people that I've met that are Asian, we've never really had that type of, I don't really see older male figures being like that. I've never had that experience, even with like my own like family members, uncles and stuff like that. I don't think they've ever done that. And it was always really interesting going to my friends' houses, because I grew up in an area that didn't have many Asians. So I grew up with what you guys are talking about, right? But like for my own culture, I never saw it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would say,
to learn.
I think I didn't want to interrupt this because I like the stories, but I think I worded it wrong because my English is still sometimes like botched.
No, you're good.
We don't talk about genders, period, or even sexuality. I have no idea what my dad is. I have no idea. I only recently found out when I was like in my mid-20s that my dad was just like a respectful player, as you guys, or a gentleman, I guess, as you.
Yeah.
Like, he never talked about anything. He was just like, me and your mom love each other. Shut up.
I feel like I had like sort of the opposite in kind of that way, because I grew up with like both white and Asian, because I'm mixed, and so my Asian side of my family, though full Filipino, it was always men ain't shit. Men ain't shit. Like, it's always the women that to do the work. It's like, oh my god. So I'm just hearing all this. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. This is so diverse. I get to hear more things that are not just men ain't shit.
Very funny. All right.
I'm just like, wow, okay.
No,
it's so fun to learn the differences.
Yeah, no, for real,
kick
because
back and relate.
I have so many Filipino friends, and you're right, they really are men ain't shit. It's like, damn, like it's real. Every single one of them that I know, they say men ain't shit. Even the men say that, so it's like, oh well, understood, I guess. All right, how about you, Roy?
So, two things. One, I've told this story 100 times, so
And that's gonna be 101.
yeah, it might be a little abbreviated.
Okay, no
just
problem.
because like I I feel bad sometimes telling the story because like my coming out story is very like the best case scenario, but also a giant joke. So
That's okay. No worries.
but the other funny thing that I think that I uniquely bring to this is that I'm not unique because I before coming out I was straight white
Ooh.
male.
Okay,
you know?
okay, all right, all
So-
right.
So I don't come from like I come from a very traditional household. You know, like I had my dad, I had my mom, I had my sister, and everything like that growing up. But I was very fortunate enough that my uncle, who was very close to my family, is gay. So we already had like the kind of normalization of that, and him being around, and him being open, and my family being very accepting of him, and things like that. So I was raised with that notion of like being gay is just it could be who you are. It's what you are. There's nothing different from him than anyone else in the rest of the family, kind of thing. So I was very fortunate in that sense. Flash forward to me in high school. I get into my first like real relationship. And when I say real, I mean like one that wasn't just like, haha, like we should hold hands or something. Like actually trying in a relationship type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we lasted about a month, and they broke up with me for being too nice. So after that I kind of like secretly started being like, men. So
Men?
so
We've all had those thoughts.
because for a long time I was like, oh, like did I just like mess up the like I thought it was my fault, like who breaks up with someone for being too nice, kind of thing. So for a long time I was just like, oh, maybe I'm gay and I just didn't realize it, kind of thing. So I started exploring like that side of my sexuality. And kind of fortunately, while I was exploring that side of my sexuality, I was going through an identity crisis of life, which was right after I graduated high school. So because I dropped out of college and then I went to Hong Kong and Japan for like a month and a half. So as I was like seeing how the rest of the world kind of acted and things like that, and knowing my family was still at home, I kind of like was like, okay, well, now that I don't have the pressures of home, or the pressures of having to go to college or anything else like that, I was kind of like, okay, I'm coming more to terms with, at least at the time, that I was bisexual. So shortly after I came back, this would have been April of like 2014. Yeah, April of 2014. So I set everybody down in my family one day because I'm finally like, you know what? I'm gonna come out. My stepmom's there, my dad's there. I think my sister was just visiting like from college or something like that as well. So I set everybody down and I'm like, hey guys, like I don't feel oppressed. I don't feel, not heard. I don't feel like not listened to. I'm not dating anybody, but I want you to know. And I came out as bisexual at the time. And I had like what I've been told is the best possible outcome you can have, which is no one cared.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
So
Oh wait, I know how the
Yeah.
story ends.
so it was almost like not disappointing, but like I expected there to be like a, oh my god, like are you sure? Like are you okay? Like oh my god, this family's gonna fall apart. Like I'd seen that in media and I'd heard that from friends and I'd read it in literature and all these other things, and I kind of like expected that to just be the norm. And I kind of understand it to be that way in some degree. But when my family and immediate friend group was all just like, all right, cool, like are we gonna play D&D or not? Like what's going on? So no one really cared. But the funny part of it comes down to the day it was, in that it was April 1st.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Everybody, like, the lights turn on everybody's head and go, oh no.
So I just genuinely forgot to check what day it was because it was like 11 at night. So I was just like, I'm just gonna do it. It was like a spur of the moment, heat of the moment kind of thing. And I had a couple friends come back to me and be like, "This isn't an April Fool's joke, right?" And I didn't realize.
Oof.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And then later, as I go through life, I just switched bi to pan. So yeah.
I feel like the buy to pan pipeline is so real.
Yeah, it genuinely is. It's like I've
Yeah.
had it happen so gradually recently in little bits and spurts, and the development of it has had me realizing, yeah, you know what? Once you realize that you're more than just straight, you're already in this area of realizing I like more than just one thing,
Yep.
and I appreciate all these different other flavors of stuff. It's like, so what's cutting you off there? And and you just kind of sit there and you shrug, and it's like, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just, if you're gonna feel what you're gonna feel, then what the hell ever. Like, my partner up basically told me a few years ago, accepted that he is more he they, and it's like, I kind of like, okay, well, I guess I just got grandfathered into Pan. But more than that, it's just, I've had these experiences where it's like, just knowing somebody who is more gender fluid, or running into somebody who, you know, it's like their pronouns are not you know, what is on the label or on the birth certificate, and suddenly you've got that feeling of, wow, I am really enjoying being in this space talking to this person, or oh boy, we're having a moment, me and this person, and you realize, I don't give a shit what the pronouns are, in the good way. You just enjoy it, and that's when it clicks. It's like, it doesn't matter. It don't matter.
Humanity unironically willed the phrase "personality is sexy" into a real existence.
And it's awesome. It's awesome.
100%.
I will say that it is kind of just amusing to watch, like, the pipeline between pansexual and bisexual, because, like, in essence, someone looking from the outside, I'm like, are they not the same? And those who are in either one of the or even like transitioning between both, it's like, no, it's not the same. So, because my sister is bisexual, my husband is pansexual, so it's always a back and forth between them. It's just like, what's happening here? And I'm just like, you guys, it's okay. You all like who you like. It's all Gucci. And I think that's the fun part of just like, it really doesn't matter which kind of label you put on, as long as you're respectful about it with your partner and all that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Though I love it when my sister calls out that his pronouns should be cast iron.
Wow.
Jesus.
It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, that is the beautiful thing, though, is when you finally get to that point of kind of shrugging and realizing, I like what I like, and that's just happy. Period.
For sure, for sure. Alrighty, how about you, Johnny?
Yeah, so my story actually kind of mirrors a lot of the other stories, especially I was quite surprised listening to Red Claw how much kind of our experiences were very similar in a lot of respects. So I was sitting here trying to figure out how I could add to this conversation, and without just repeating the same thing over and over again. And so one of the things that I wanted to touch on, because it is a bit of a hot topic where I live right now, and relates to my experience growing up. So I grew up in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. Yes, I'm old.
I think I feel the vibes so far in here feel like most of us are 90s
Well,
kids.
yeah, I would say most of us.
Yeah, some of you will be able to relate to this, but like,
Right.
I am a huge advocate of LGBTQ education in sex education in schools. And right now, depending on where you live, that is being fought against very hard by certain political stripes. We'll just leave it at that. And me, as growing up as a kid, I always knew something was up. It wasn't just like, oh, I like girls. I also like guys. And nobody ever said to me, and I think somebody else said this as well, where it's just like, it's just kind of confusing. It's just like, am I gay? Am I, but I like girls too. Like, all I really needed was somebody to grab me by the scruff and go, you can like both. It's fine.
Both,
It would have saved me years, literally years of confusion, where it's just like, oh, that's a thing. Okay, cool. And I like, my heart goes out to all the kids that were just like me, who were just confused and were just like, am I gay? Do I like guys? Like, because it was a very and I'm sure a lot of people will agree, like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, there really was no talk of bisexuality that much. It was either you like, the same gender or you don't like the same gender. And that was it, and it was just like very, very sort of one-sided, I'd like to say. And so like, I'm a huge advocate nowadays for like, no, education, this would have saved me so much trouble. But I went through life just knowing that something was not quite right. And just never kind of consolidating it until I absolutely had to. And that led to me, similar to Red Claw, I ended up marrying my wife. We've been together for a very long time now. We're going to be celebrating 10 years next month.
Nice. Congratulations.
But yeah, so I just went through the straight life for most of my life, and then early on in our marriage, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. But by that time, I had gotten an education, I had grown into the community, and so I eventually just said, I'm bi, and my wife was just like, okay, cool.
All right, I already knew, but
All right, that's cool.
Whatever. All right. Anyways, and just very accepting and everything, which was not, again, what I was used to growing up. Because for those who don't know, I was raised evangelical Christian. I'm not Christian anymore. And if anybody's like, how evangelical? Well, have you seen Jesus Camp? Yeah, I've experienced that. So like, I was deep in it. I was really deep in it. It was, looking back on it, well, I'm still unpacking the religious trauma, but yes, yeah, it was scary. But yeah, so that was my journey. It mirrored a lot of what stories have already been said here, so I won't repeat the same thing, but that's sort of what I wanted to add as well, was the biggest thing in my life, just sort of coming to terms with who I am, would have saved me so much trouble if, as a kid, I just would have been educated. And then going into being a teenager, then I could have been like, okay, now I understand all these feelings and I can act upon them and understand them and not shame myself and be like, I'm just so confused. What the hell am I? Like that is why I'm a huge advocate for education, for kids and teens.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Everything else is boring, so I'm not going to really go into it. Yeah, I similar thing, buy to pan pipeline. I really like that. I'm stealing that, by the way. That's a really good one. I like that. Yeah, so we're the buy to pan expressway.
Yeah. No, it's so funny. You guys mentioned that.
Stay within the speed limit.
Yeah.
Because when I was setting up the groups, I kind of, for one, I'm super OCD. I feel like this is, if you don't know me very well, I'm extremely OCD. When I was going through the list of guests, the first thing I went off was everyone's identities and then vibes. And when I set up this group specifically today, I was like, I was looking through and was like, there has to be the buy to pan pipeline with these guys. There's no way. Like, I'm looking through all of these and I'm like, there's no way. And it's really funny that I mentioned this because on the first day of the panels, we kind of talked about how there's so much so even in like the LGBTQIA plus, I don't know if there's any more letters, but hopefully that's all the letters I know for now. but
You can just call it the alphabet army. We understand.
The alphabet army. Thank you.
There you go.
But we kind of touched upon how there is still like a lot of what's the word? Separation within the spectrums and the sphere. There's a lot of bi and pan erasure. There's a lot of ace erasure. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say about any of that, just because I know it's like a really huge topic in the sphere, because a lot of people that I've spoken to that are bi or pan have talked about how difficult it was for them to find community and comfort in the space because people always expected them to only pick one, right? And it really, this I think also ties into Adiosu's sexuality too, and I think it'd be really interesting to talk about. But before we do that, I have to piss really bad. So
Love
Piss
that.
quickly, boss.
Boy.
So
Do you want us to hold your
guys-
hand?
if you guys
Whoa.
also need to
It would be
use the
kind of
restroom,
awkward, just saying.
if you guys also need to use the restroom, please feel free. I'll be right back. If you guys want to think about how we wanted to tackle that discussion, that's awesome too. So I'll be right back.
I might as well get
Gotta
him
go.
to and calm down a
I
cat
think
that's
if we
yelling.
form a line, we could probably tackle it from all sides.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have a question for chat. That way, chat gets involved in this little conversation. Based on what you've been able to hear from all of us, do you feel like you are able to feel safe in exploring your sexualities, regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of how you're growing up? Do you feel like hearing all of these has given you the ability to be able to really sit back and kind of think about how you feel as a person and how you have your sexualities growing and changing, whether it be to something new that you never explored or even just confirming that what you already knew, like, yes, I am X, Y, and Z? What do you guys think?
I definitely, for me personally, I definitely do now. But for a hot minute, it was a no. It was a no. It really wasn't until I like left my hometown and just like I'll be real, chat. If there's any of you who are still stuck in your hometowns, leave
Get
them.
out.
Leave them. Leave them.
Yeah.
There's so much you could learn if you just leave for a couple years. Trust me on this.
Are we pulling out the silly reactives now? Hold on. Are we pulling out the silly ones? Hold on.
I was just getting a little gay, you know?
Just being a little guy.
Yeah.
Just be a little guy.
Yeah. Actually, I had a question for Johnny real fast.
Yeah.
That's actually ties to a lot of you because
Oh.
I'm noticing obviously a lot of you guys are married at this point, and most of you are coming out with, well, at least Red and Johnny, you two like literally came into your sexualities in the middle of your marriage and stuff like that. And I can only imagine if I was in your shoes, there was some form of you guys kind of said it really nonchalantly, but what was the fear like in that situation and being like, are they going to accept me? Did you have a fear at all? Even being like, are they going to accept
Oh,
this?
yeah.
Is this going to be like a yeah?
There was definitely
absolutely.
fear.
It's just like this could go really bad or this could go really good. Let's just find out because like it's a truth. You can't get around it. It's just
people-
like you have to do it. You have to rip that Band-Aid off.
For people
So,
watching and that might be in a similar situation or might even be tackling the situation right now, what did you do to kind of alleviate that fear and bite the bullet? Because it couldn't just be as simple as, I mean, maybe it could have just been as simple as, all right, fuck it, let's just go in. Did you have to do anything more?
no, that kind of was it for me. It's just like, all right.
So I got okay. If we're gonna go here, all right. I'm gonna start off with the best cold opening. Here's chat. This is how I knew I was finally comfortable to have the conversation. It all happened. I had my first threesome.
I know. Give me a sec.
Oh.
Tiger's just like, my first threesome. I know. Give me a second.
Crazy.
Okay.
Heck of a timing.
Perfect time. Perfect.
Why?
No, okay,
Perfect timing.
okay.
Yeah,
We're talking about marriage and how that relationships and how our sexualities kind of affected that.
And
Okay.
threesome, and you just came in the right time.
Oh, okay. All right, buckos. All right.
Wow.
Okay. So there, so like when it came to like with me and my wife, let's go. Like we had a close friend. We had a very close friend who we both knew was poly. And like they threw a lot of hints at us that they were interested in like trying something. And there was one day we were at their house. We were just invited for the weekend. One hot tub and a lot of drinks later.
Oh no.
One hot tub, one bathing in a hot tub, and a lot of drinks later, we found ourselves like all in the same bed. And
Okay.
and during that, my wife kissed her, and I was like, okay, I don't know if she's doing this just like because guy watching two girls making out, it's so sexy, or if it was like actually like, oh, like okay. And so it was like actually like a day or two after that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna ask about that. And like that's what like opened the door to the conversation. I was very concerned. I was very afraid, like, to ask about it because, again, like I said, like the situation at when it was at the time was very much alcohol induced, and I wasn't sure if like they wanted to like talk about it, but we did talk about it, and I was very concerned to see like how they responded, but they were very like open and understanding, and because of that, as weird as it was, because of that situation, I felt a little bit more comfortable just talking about it. I don't. It's weird. I don't know if I would have brought it up if I didn't have that experience because, like I said, it would like the fear of no, not okay with this. Because I said I grew up during the freaking Sex in the City era where like people would just joke, where people would literally just joke about like being bi is just the road to gaydom. So I was very nervous at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I can only imagine what you guys felt like at the time when you had to come out to your partner or to your
Yeah, it was kind of like just a point where you're just like this truth has to come out. This is a conversation we have to have, and you have to be prepared for it to go bad. And that's the scary part.
Mm-hmm.
Is with family, you can have family members kind of deny you. But when it comes to a partner, I feel like the stakes are higher because family will always be family, but a partner can walk away, and that's really scary. But you can't hide forever. You just have to, at least for me, it was a point where I was just like, this truth has to be, and whatever happens, whatever consequences from it are going to be. And that is very scary.
I think it's also scary when you're in a relationship and your feelings change mid-relationship. It's not been a secret between me and my husband that he's pansexual, I'm demi, and so his entire view on sexuality is that he's sexually attracted physically to other people regardless of gender, and et cetera, et cetera. Me, I'm only that way if I know, and if I know and trust you. So it's a matter of we both view things very differently, and it's come full circle at this point. Like, we've been together for 5, almost 6 years, where like we both kind of looked at each other as like, okay, do we want to have this conversation of like, where can we go from here? Because while me and him are completely 100% monogamous romantically, it's one of those things where I felt like I was holding him back from allowing him to feel like himself. Because he never wants to hurt me. He never wants to like put me in a situation where he's like lusting over other people, and yet I'm right here. So we've had to have that conversation of just like, well, how do we deal with this? It's for me, it was never it's not healthy to really be like, oh, you're my partner, so you should only feel sexually attracted to me. No. It's like that's possessiveness, and that's a little bit toxic in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So having that conversation with him is just like, now we've kind of established like it's okay for him to lust after other people, and even if it comes down to a point where it's like, I want to try with someone else, as long as he communicates it with me and knows that romantically we are together and sexually I am still his number one, that's completely fine. And this same exchange to me is like, well, if someone is close to you and wants to have that kind of a relationship with you, would you be the same? Like, yeah, absolutely. I think it's only fair that as long as you are able to communicate that. And it was really scary for us because both of us were kind of scared of how to continue forward, knowing that we are monogamous, but sexually we run differently. He runs very much physically. He can have that one night stand, while me, it has to be like, for example, like a friend of mine who I've known for a very long time and can lay with them and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I just made something awkward.
No.
Oh no, everyone's really quiet. I'm so sorry.
That was a really good sort of period sentence done.
Yeah, no, you're totally good.
You wrapped up that topic really good.
Me personally, the reason why I was quiet is because I was mentally trying to backtrack to see what I missed while I was pissing.
So I wasn't sure what I missed, so I was like, wait, what was the topic? And I was trying to just glean that.
it's okay. I'll pick up the ball there because it's an interesting thing, especially when you have a partner where they run a little bit differently than you do, and of course, one of the interesting things that happens when you are queer or you're part of the alphabet soup and you are in a relationship with somebody else who is the topic comes up of we're not traditional as is, so how much more else do we want to be open and talk to each other about certain things? And you have those conversations and it's like you're both people, it's like monogamy is monogamy, love is love, hardcore. You have your prime person, but it doesn't it doesn't mean
Hi.
hello, but it doesn't mean that automatically it's like that's it, we're together. My genitals are in a box that is labeled only you. I only feel this thing ever when it comes to you. It's not freaking possible, I think. So you have those conversations about how you run and how you view things and what is like, how do you feel comfortable feeling or interacting with other people? How does it work when it's in regard to our relationship? So it's natural to have those conversations. And I think in our community overall, it happens very fairly often. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up. I was never more shocked than when I entered furry, because furries will drop you in the deep end of the pool from the diving board in terms of what sexuality can be, what relationships can be, how many people can be in a relationship, the rule set, and everybody's ability to shrug and smile and roll with it. And it's just like, wow, okay, 0 to 60 immediately as soon as you get into the fandom. It opens you up like a crowbar to a box. Oh my god, it's amazing, but in the end of it, as much as it's a whirlwind, it really leaves you with the understanding of, I'm already not the traditional thing, and neither is my partner, so why don't we have these conversations? Why don't we explore what is comfortable and what is happy, and find what that happiness is and what it means to us, and we still feel respected with each other on things.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. Like I say, I've never been happier than after we had that conversation. It was scary as shit, but it was like after having that moment of realization and having that sit down, it was just like I just feel freer. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's scary the first time, but then every subsequent one, it's like, okay, listen, we're already here. We've knocked the ball around a few times with this. We're already in the conversation. We've had it. We can just keep going, and you just keep knocking it back and forth until you have that happy middle ground. It's a lot of navigation, but that's every relationship. Period.
Gosh, this is so interesting to hear. Like I'm learning so much because I've never really been in a relationship like that ever. Nope, I can't think of one. I was gonna say and try, but I can't think of anything. I think the bond that you have with your partner, mostly when it comes to stuff like this, really makes or breaks a lot of relationships. So hearing that you guys have the opportunities to speak about these things comfortably and communicate is super awesome. Like genuinely, like I'm so happy for you guys because I know it's not like that for everyone. So to be able to hear that you guys have that is sick as hell.
and I think the thing that I also like want to like close on when it comes to like this conversation, because like we've like talked about like how scary it is and how like, well, luckily for us it worked out. For the people who like are like for like those who are listening and like just remember, in case it doesn't, in case the conversation does not go well, I really feel like you all need to like remember you did nothing wrong.
100%.
Yep.
You
That's a
did
really good way
nothing
to put
wrong.
it. Yep.
Really can't stress that enough.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have that conversation and being open about it. It's actually much more healthy in a relationship rather than just like assuming you're walking in with a bomb. You're not trying to walk in with a bomb. You're trying to open up your arms and reveal your soul to someone.
The longer you hold on to
what,
something, it ferments.
Yeah, it's a big part of what Pride Month is about, is acceptance and understanding like it's just a part of who you are.
Exactly.
Yep.
Sure. Alrighty, guys. It's really funny. So we kind of already touched base on most of the topics that I already written down throughout just the general flow of discussion. So that's been super duper awesome. I was wondering if you guys had anything specific you wanted to bring to the table for us to talk about during the stream, or we can always open it up to questions to chat also if you guys wanted to do that also.
Well, not
Well,
to
if I
drag
were-
back. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go.
I was gonna say, well, if I
shut up.
recall, no, you're fine. You're fine. Sorry, I also cannot stop talking. So, I no, because I was gonna say, if I recall, you wanted to talk about just dealing with bi and pan erasure and
Ace
dealing
erasure
with
as well.
that.
Yeah.
And ace erasure. Yeah.
I did. I didn't know if we talked about it while I was peeing.
No. Why would
No,
we
no,
talk
no.
about it without the host?
Oh, I don't know. I don't mind. It's fine. I was just changing my laundry and peeing, so.
At the same time?
Well, no,
Wow.
listen. My laundry was done. I had to switch it out.
Hold it on the toilet.
Well, before we dive into that topic, what did you want to bring it back to, Michaela? If it's already within the scope of what we're talking about, we definitely can touch on it.
That was literally what I was about to bring up. I was like, didn't we want to talk about
let's
erasure?
fucking
Brain
go. I'm
cell.
rubbing my hands like a little
brain
fly
cell.
right now.
We're all
Alright.
holding the brain cell. We're just passing it amongst each other.
All right, okay, so let's get into this topic then, because I think this topic brings in a lot of different opinions and perspectives, and I feel like it'll be really interesting with this group because of your backgrounds with having long-term relationships already. So I'm really curious for what you guys have to say about this. So for the alphabet soup, there
He's owning it now.
I'm owning it now. I'm claiming it now.
Yes!
And I've always, when I found out I was Arrow Ace, I've told this story to chat a bunch of times, but me finding out I was Arrow Ace and just asexual or under the Ace umbrella it was a very tumultuous time for me because I kept trying so hard to fit in and do what was expected of me as the oldest son of an immigrant family. I know my mother has always wanted me to have kids. I know my mother has always wanted me to be married. My mother wanted this, so then she could, obviously brag to everyone else, right? And I remember I was in my best friend's car. I don't know, I think we went out to eat, and I think she was driving me home, and I had a mental breakdown in the chair. I was just sobbing. It was bad. And my best friend is probably one of the straightest people you will ever meet in your entire life. This woman is straight, okay? There's a line on the ground and straight. That woman is straight, but she's probably one of the biggest allies I've ever met in a long time. And to all of our straight allies in chat, we appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
And I remember I was just fucking blubbering in this seat. And it was just why am I broken? What's wrong with me? No matter how many times I try, I can't make these connections. And I don't know if it's a trauma response because of the role models I had growing up, which weren't good. I didn't have a representation of what love was supposed to be. And I always thought that I was undeserving of love. And I think that's also a main reason why I've ended up with the identity that I have. And sometimes I wonder if I grew up with better role models, more opportunities to learn about love, I would be a little different. But at the same time, I don't hate this iteration of myself currently in the present. I've come to learn to love this version of myself, which took a long fucking time. Let me tell you. But I just remember her grabbing her phone and she's like, are you sure you're not that asexual thing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She pulls up her phone and she's looking up, what does it mean when you don't like sex or people? And I was like, maybe there's just something wrong with me, man. And she's like, no, I know there's a term for that shit. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll sit here, I'll wait for you to look it up. And she's like, oh, I got it. Are you asexual? I was like, what the fuck is that?
What the fuck is an asexual?
So we're going through the stuff and I'm like reading about it. We're like on Wikipedias and all this shit. I was like, whoa, is this me? And she's like, yeah, man, there's a bunch of people like you. Look at this. And we're like going on like Reddit forums and stuff. And she's like, you're not alone. And that really sat with me like for a really long time. You know, we hugged and I went back home and I did so much research because I was just like, is this finally like something that will help me figure out what I am and who I am? And it was such an eye-opening experience to figure out, you know, being ace. And it's definitely something that I've come home to because it made me realize that like I'm not damaged. You know, I'm not as messed up as I thought I was. So returning this story back to like the main topic at hand, as much as I found comfort in learning about my identity, I also learned that a lot of people don't believe this identity is real. You know, there's still a lot of talk on if like, are you like really asexual if you haven't found the right person, you know? And it really made it difficult to assimilate myself into the community because I was the weird asexual where I wasn't sex repulsed. I think a majority of asexuals are. I end up in the section where I have no issue with sex. And like I knew I had no issue with sex because I was having a ton of sex, so I knew there wasn't anything wrong with that, for me at least. So it was just really interesting to see how even in a space that is supposed to celebrate acceptance, it was still hard for people in specific spheres of the spectrum to find that acceptance. You know, and that's why I wanted to really see your guys' perspective when it came to bi and pan, and if you guys ever had any experiences where you felt like it was difficult to assimilate into the community because of it.
To go actually to something that Johnny mentioned earlier, I legitimately believe that it stems from a general lack of education,
For sure, yeah.
and also trauma.
Oh, yeah.
I say this for two reasons. So like again, like for like especially I obviously like with VTubing and now everything, like this is like worldwide, but like from my perspective, especially from like an American standpoint, a lot of our interactions, both in real life and also like through like media and stuff, is always kind of put in a sexual lens. And in those instances and in those spaces, it really is always either straight or you're not. There's no middle ground. There's absolutely none. And if you do find someone in the middle ground, it's usually portrayed as either a joke or just a belief that they're lying. That they are lying so that they can because they either are just gay and they don't want to admit it, or they or they just want to seem different. At least that's how I've always seen it when it came to like things like television and stuff like that. And when it comes to things like trauma, the reason why I say that is because I actually had a direct moment, because my cousin, she's a lesbian, and a few years ago, like there would like at the family Thanksgiving, the topic of gender and sexuality came up, and she literally was like, no, it's either you're gay or you're not. And I asked why, and why would you feel that way? Why did you feel that way? And she was actually very honest, where she was like, it's not fair.
Wow.
Really?
She was like,
Okay.
like she said, she was basically like, she basically was like, gay people have had to fight for decades to even be recognized. And now these people are trying to get away with both, was how she worded it.
Oh.
And so like, and the way she was wording it, I was like, you're traumatized.
Yep.
Like this is a trauma response, and it even like, I guess like a real world, I guess like another example like outside of like sexuality, it was the equivalent of like when like someone's like, I want student loan forgiveness, and like a 40-year-old's like, I paid my loans, why won't you? It's very similar. It's like, it's not like you, like I had to deal with so much crap for being gay. And now you're trying to get away with both. That's not right, and that's not fair.
Oh.
And so, like,
the lesson wasn't learned.
And so, like, I saw that, I was like, okay, so this is a mixture of like a lack of education, understanding, and then also just straight up trauma, at least from my perspective.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think in terms of just like fitting in or even just like being judged one way or another, I think a lot of people kind of feel that way for the lack of education, because it's one thing to finally accept who you are. It's another to accept that there are others that have different spectrums or different levels of sexuality. Because like for me, I think with demisexuality, it kind of gets a swing in the head for being normal when it's really not. Because like I remember there was one day where I was having like a little bit of an existential crisis. I'm like, am I demisexual? Like, because I don't know if I can like anyone except my husband. Because I'm like, I don't know. And of course, half the comments were like, yeah, it's completely fine. Demisexuality isn't meant to be about like you falling in love with someone you trust. And then the other half is like, no, you're straight. It's called being loyal. It's like that. And so the lack of education is more of just like, it's both an ignorance that it's willful, but also a lack of truly trusting whether or not someone's saying the truth, because you have your own vision of what a sexuality is like. And so anyone else who's brings in this new idea is just like, well, that didn't exist. What are you talking about? You have another label for X, Y, and Z. It's called A, B, and C. And there's a lot of back and forth of whether or not we as a society can even have that conversation, or even if it's just like, if it is a conversation, can we be respectful about it?
Yeah, for sure. Damn, it is really interesting to hear that though. That, you know, when Red was like, that's a trauma response, or like you're traumatized, it was just reminding me of the TikTok sound. It's like, it's traumatized. It's like, damn.
Oh, it's adorable. Oh, it's traumatized.
Yes, that sound bite. Yeah. But I think
on the point of go ahead.
No, okay, that's fine. I was just gonna say that it just feels like a lot of like the repression and, you know, covering over other parts of the spectrum is honestly kind of a trauma response and just not understanding.
Yeah.
No, I'd say so, and I think, like Red Claw said, go into what Johnny said about lack of education and the need for it now. I think we are able to be in such a good place now because we have been, as a community, adamant about education and our own education, and especially those who put in the work before us. Like, I think about it all the time, and I've thought about it for years. Every time Pride comes around, every Pride, we really should stop to take a moment to acknowledge, at least to ourselves, and be grateful for the people who came before us, who made this easier year after year after year. We couldn't have gotten to this place without them. And that's a lot of education, that's a lot of pushing forward and being fighters and getting us up each step of the way. And I think that does bring in there is the shadow side to it, which we observed from what Red Claw shared about a trauma response of, I fought for this, we fought for this, why do you get to have both? But it's the point of learning the lesson in it, which is, yes, there was a freedom and an expression of humanity to be fought for so that people could have this right.
100%.
Because the lesson was, it was never supposed to be locked down and hurt people this way. And when I think about potentials for any sort of bi erasure, it's interesting because I realize, looking back, I've always had a fear of bi erasure. The reason that I grew up pushing this down so hard was because I kept trying to deny that I was gay leaning. Like, I am still definitely bi, pan, I'm open. I like women 2 out of 10 times. But here's the thing, is growing up, I could feel that happening and it scared the shit out of me because I had such a fragile moment every now and then of realizing you still do like women, you're not completely gay, because I was terrified of losing the bisexual understanding that I came to grasp for myself. And I think that's why I kept fighting it, because I kept pushing that down, because I knew you like men more. You are more attracted in the gay sense than you are in the classical straight sense. Does that make you bisexual? Isn't this supposed to be half and half? Shouldn't you be able to feel it all the time, no matter what? And I didn't have the education, and I didn't have the other people to talk to at the time who could have told me it doesn't need to work that way. The fact that even if it's 80-20, men to women, it's still valid. It's still who you are. And I've kind of, even in a sense, like I've reconciled with it. I understand myself and I enjoy it, and I shrug. I like what I like. But when it comes to, say, family functions, being there with my partner, my very much, you know, they're two guys kind of situation, there is a part of me that does kind of speak up in the back of my mind and ask, they understand that I'm bi, right? That I'm not full-blown gay, because there's still that sense of, I don't want that to be erased.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us go through that.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
I definitely will speak out and say I do feel like the outlier in this conversation, though. Because my entire identity is just around the basis of kind of not. So I guess this could be a fun topic also, is talking about how you did go out to like your family, like, or at least I know for me and Tyga, we've already talked about to each other about how we've come out to our families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For me, and we've heard a few of you guys also talk about how you came out to your families. Only a small portion of my family actually know, but it's only because my family's much older. As we can kind of already do a vibe check, and we talked about it earlier. Tyga said it. We're all kind of from like a certain generation of age here.
Mhm.
We all watch Rugrats.
Yeah.
Exactly. My parents and stuff like that are already at this age where it's just like, they'll probably super accept me and they'll probably super love me about it either way. I just feel like I don't need to. And this is where I get the most pushback and hate on. So I don't feel the need to come out to my parents. To me, I'm just the weird little snowflake in the family that kind of sits out from my brother and sister. To everybody else that I feel like my brother and sister who need to know, I've told them, people who I feel like are closest to me that need to know, including my best friend, who is very strict heterosexual male. He makes gay jokes all the time, and like after a year of like hanging out and being like basically best friends, I was like, I just had to tell him and he let him know it's like this, and he's like, oh, very respectful about it, but he's like, I'm sorry if I offend you with these jokes. To me, my identity comes from the idea of, I like what I like, I love who I love, I'll accept whoever comes after me and whoever I have like, you know, feelings for, regardless of what they are. But the problem is, I'm never going to feel I'm never going to be able to feel like I can say, like, when people ask me for my sexuality and then they're like, well, can you break it down in TLDR? And I'll be like, I can't. I don't belong in like the bi, the pansexual, the demisexual, or like that. I'm just like, I just don't have a place to belong here. So for me, it's more like, it's easier for me to just pretend like my sexuality sometimes doesn't exist.
Okay.
And I'm just Audiosu. Yeah.
I don't think
I
that's
can see
anything to be
that.
pushed back on. Like, if that's your truth, that's your truth. I think
Yeah.
the more important message about this is it's less of just like, I think what we need to kind of establish is that we're not trying to like force people into boxes, but more so of trying to make sure that everyone can be heard.
Yeah.
It's more of just like, it's okay if you feel like you're just better in that position to like not really have to give a label, or like if you don't feel the necessity to, while there are others who are just kind of like, part of their exploration of themselves is being allowed to speak about it and seeing that, for example, reflected in like media or in sort of like social networking, whether it be like seeing celebrities being open about their stuff or whatever the case may be, that's part of not only their exploration of themselves, but also the confirmation of who they are. So it's less, I think the reason why I don't see that as being a thing of pushback on is that that's a valid stance. It's just a matter of making sure we allow everyone else to kind of be heard.
Yeah, I think it's about like everyone having the right to the right to say something or the right to not say something, whether they want to or not. Like, cause like
Yeah.
cause like going to, like to your thing, like where you're like, okay, like only like a select few people that you actively want to know about like your identity, want to know. It's the same for me. Like in my family, like the only people in my family that know are my parents and my brother. Like nobody, no, but like even when I was having that conversation with my cousin, I was not like having a conversation. I was like, well, I identify as bi. Let's have this conversation then. And like, no, I was just, I kind of like took the, I'm just gonna talk to you about this. I'm not gonna bring it up at all. Let's just talk about it. Why do you feel this?
So have you ever received any pushback though from either both like either side, the LGBT community or even the outside community, to be like, well, aren't you like shouldn't you be more proud of it? Have you ever received pressure from like the communities saying like, well, you need to speak up more about like where you lie and stuff like that?
Yes, but that's
sometimes, but not all the time. Like so, like I brought up, like when I came out to my parents, it was very much a need to educate them because they just did not understand. So it was a lot of conversation. It was a lot of like we had many conversations. And there was pushback. There was pushback because, like I said, like for my family, for my parents, they just were not. They didn't comprehend it. They did, because they were always taught it's one or the other. There's no debate. So obviously like there's pushback, and there it also stems from the whole like I'm older than you, so I have more life experience, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But what's it called? It took, like, I would say like it, even though like again always like while they always still like loved me, fully accepting what it was, it took a minute. And then like when it came from like the community itself, like I had a few conversations, like especially when it was early on, because even I was like, I don't know how to navigate. I really don't know how to navigate. So like it was finding a lot of like smaller groups, like smaller private groups having conversations. And there were a few that like would step in and be like, no, it's one or the other. Like, are you and there was very much questions like, are you trying to say that you're doing this just so that you can maintain your marriage and your relationship? Because like that was a question I was asked a lot.
Damn. Okay.
I was asked that often, especially because like again, like in the States, there's a lot of perks from being married.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of perks from being married.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of people who questioned like, are you saying this just so that you can keep the marriage, so that you don't have to worry about like dealing with the hassle that is divorce? So like I had to like there was a lot of accusatory. Are you lying to yourself or lying to others for that? It happened. It definitely happened. But after a while, it like the people who are willing to listen, they'll be willing to listen. There's gonna be some that are like, regardless of whether they're in the alphabet soup or not, that are just they just don't get it. They're not going to get it, and they might refuse to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it a point to like after a while like mostly like taught like I mostly decided to keep my story towards that would be either accepting of it or at the very least willing to have a conversation.
I think within the community, going to like whether or not there's pushback of whether or not to be prideful or whether or not to be proud and be loud about your sexuality, I think we're in a pendulum swing. So with society and how society runs, is that whenever there is a change of thought or a change of perspective, there's going to be a pendulum swing. Oh, for example, if we're pulling away really quick for as an example, video games. Oh, they're violent. They're teaching our kids and all that stuff. But then you see to the other side, no, it's an artistic stance of like what things that people find beautiful or people find horrible, and they're using it as a medium. There's a big pendulum swing one way or another. Then you have, with this pendulum swing with this community, it's more of just sexuality, you keep it to yourself, you keep it behind closed doors, you don't talk about it because it's yours, you don't have to advertise it. Now we're in the pendulum swing of we have to be loud and we have to be proud about who we are, because the more we're loud and open about it, the more people cannot be afraid to come out of the box for their own comfort and their own stances. So as social media like influencers or anyone who has like a social media presence, there is a pressure to be loud and be proud of who you are and where you represent. But it's that pendulum swing that is forcing society to be very much not strict, but like insistent and persistent on like, well, what are you? What do you represent? Who are you? What's your sexuality? Do you know? Rather than being like, I can tell you when I'm ready and good and comfortable myself, because I may be still learning. I may be in a situation where it's not safe, et cetera, et cetera. It's the big pendulum swings of society where we're at the extreme of wanting to be presented loud and proud, to not only be a beacon for others, but also to solidify our own confirmation of our lives. But eventually the pendulum swing will come back, and it's a matter of hoping that pendulum finally returns to the balanced stasis of the middle, where it's like you can choose to be quiet about your sexuality if it's not necessarily an integral part of your life, or like not something you wish to advertise on your forehead like a big advertising sign, or if you wish to be loud and proud in that regard.
I think, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree for sure. Because at the end of the day, I think, like, coming out and being who you are, coming to terms to what you want to be is your own choice, right? No matter what people say.
Yeah, you
And
own your coming out.
100%. And I find it really interesting because I guess, like, for our age group, what I've learned and noticed, at least from speaking with others about these topics, for us, being loud and proud was never really important. It was more so finding that comfortability within ourselves and finding what
Yep.
works for us, right? I feel like in this current era, they want to be loud, right? And they want to be proud of it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it specifically. But it's definitely, I don't know if I want to say it's like an era shift, but me personally, I only came to terms of being Arrow Ace not even 4 years ago. My mom, she was the type of person that would say shit like no dating till marriage, and I'd be like, well, ma'am, you can't marry until you date. Exactly. I was like, that doesn't, whatever. A few years passed, she's like, why don't you have a girlfriend yet? Like, you're not ugly. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, you told me I wasn't allowed to date till marriage. You told me that, woman. And it would be like a whole dig every single other week. I would like have to see her. She's like, why don't you have a girlfriend? Like, my son isn't ugly. Like, you I know that you can get a woman if you want. And it's like, I get it, like, I understand, but I don't want to. And I remember when I said that, she's like, are you gay? And the thing about my mom was that she would say that she didn't care if other people were gay, right? She just didn't want her children to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, knowing her oldest son, who's supposed to carry the bloodline and the last name, was gay, was not in her books, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I was gay? What are you gonna do about it, ma'am? What's gonna happen if I told you?
I married a man. Now I can date
what
them.
if I
Now
told you
bye.
I've made out with men? What's gonna happen? Let's just say it was not a pretty time. I think my mom now still, my mom still tries to like pretend that conversation didn't happen. It's been a few years now, but I think she's kind of just given up on me and has resorted to hoping my youngest brother will carry the bloodline. I mean, he is straight, so I'm banking on him too, because my sister's
There you go.
queer as fuck, and I don't think they're gonna help at all. So-
You don't do your straight duty, dude.
Gotta pat him on the back and be like, "Get in there, boy."
That's what I'm saying. But the issue is that my little brother has negative Riz, so I don't think he's ever.
You gotta teach him, man. It's time
Yeah,
to
you
give him a
gotta
Riz
teach him.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't need Riz when you could just go up to another, like to a father, and just be like, "I will give your daughter 3 cows." That's dowry.
Jeez.
If only.
What the?
Yeah,
No,
no.
Going by the
it was literally a
classic
trade.
playbook.
It was literally a trade.
Mhm.
It's so
That's
funny
crazy.
too because I think we were at breakfast one time. I've never met a man that loves women more than him. Okay, and he is scared of women. I remember we were like eating breakfast, and he's like, "Oh, that girl is so pretty." And I was like, "Okay, say hi to her." He's like, "No, I'm scared of women." It's like, how are you ever gonna find a date? What is wrong with you? But yeah, no, my brother's an idiot. I hope for the best. Luckily, he can carry the bloodline. I love you very
Though
much.
I will
brother.
say, women nowadays are actually kind of scary.
Fair enough.
Also true.
kind of
Fair
scary.
enough.
Very true.
Fair enough.
W man.
But
Sorry.
yeah,
I'm joking.
no worries. Did we want to talk about anything else? If you guys had any other things you wanted to bring up?
If nobody does, I have something that's a little bit more. I don't want to say scary, but a little bit heavy.
Screw it, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
why
all
not?
just.
I want to
jump
make
in
sure
the
everybody's
ring.
okay with it.
We're in it. We're here.
We literally just we're in the waiting room talking about the most like explicit stuff, like with a involving a table. I think we can handle it.
I
All
do
for
scary for a
faces.
living.
Tiger, are you good? It's the conversation I told you earlier.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
right.
down.
So I guess I'll do a little bit of story weaving here, and I'm gonna give a trigger warning to everybody. It is not fun. It is very dark. It is very sad. It's very real. If you do know the story, please obviously respect my family and don't go like looking for my IRL information from it. But then no matter what, though, I'm the most proud. By the way, before I segue into this, I just noticed a bunch of us have the gay uncle.
I don't.
I
think
don't
I'm
have
the
a
only
gay
one that
uncle.
doesn't.
I had
I
a gay
heard at least, like,
cousin
2
who
or
made
3
it
others.
easier for me.
No, I had one.
Yeah. But so I had one, and I will say in the past tense. The real reason why he was the shining light on me, like branching out and being like, oh, sexuality is something I should learn. I should like accept who I am, and I should become who I am. Is he was my gay uncle in San Francisco, and I was like, oh, you're Livy. He's the happiest man I've ever met. He was always just like brimming with joy. He was always just being himself, and like literally, like he promoted the gay lifestyle of just being a happy person and not caring what other people think to the maximum. And it led me to like respect him and start to search myself. The big thing that catapulted everything, me marching on Capitol Hill in Seattle every year, joining a bunch of movements, the donations, the charity, and the causes that I work on, was an unfortunate event. And this is just a preface on the conversation I kind of want to have is he was an unfortunate, not unlikely. He was a very unfortunate target of a hate crime. He was unfortunately killed a long time ago in just a random act of violence for gay hatred. And it was the most shattering thing that I still can't read the article to this day. And I had my chance to come up face to face with the guy when he was in prison, and I got the chance to ask him why he had done the thing. And he just said, I don't believe in the way that he lived his lifestyle, and I can't accept it. And I really wish that I could have asked him at the time, is so I could speak out to more people and spread more awareness about like hatred is not the way to go. It's okay to sit down and have conversations. But I really wish that I had like the maturity to ask him why he decided to like go to violence first. My question to you guys and the conversation I'd like to have on this heavy topic is if you were given the opportunity, the podium to stand anywhere in the world and give people an opportunity, because there are always going to be people who don't understand us. There's going to be people who don't understand you, me, any other side of the fence. And even we can't understand the side that is hatred and unacceptance because we can't live in their shoes. What is your belief and what is your viewpoint on promoting a peaceful understanding rather than trying to. I don't know how to close this. The English is leaving me, but it's how to close off and avoid the violence.
I think, in true honesty, it comes to human instinct and survivalism. So, to kind of not necessarily be a negative Nancy or necessarily be like, this is a very hard topic to kind of enunciate, as much as I would like to just be able to stand and say, like, well, it would first to be to advocate for education, to advocate for having those conversations publicly, for having these marches, for being more public and being more in the eyes of society and all that stuff. It's another to understand that the other side is not necessarily acting in pure hatred, but it's also understanding the other side is acting out of fear. So there is, no matter what comes around when you're talking to someone who has hatred in their heart like that, it doesn't come from, well, I think they're an abomination, blah, 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 blah. Behind those words is someone who is not aware of what is going on and has only been taught a certain thing. Hatred is taught. And that is something that we need to understand is no matter what side you're on, hatred is taught. So when an act of violence comes out like this, it is not in a it's not in a place of, yeah, I want to see blood, or yeah, I want to see blah, 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 blah. It's more of just, they don't understand, and it's better to confront it as an enemy than as someone you can speak to, because who knows what they can do. It's the ignorance of not understanding that the other side is people. That's why so many hateful people try to equate the alphabet army to the most heinous of crimes in the world, of like abuse, assault of any sort of like any sort of age and range. Like they always try to equate it, because to find humanity within the other side means that your side was wrong, meaning that you were living a lie. And having such an identity break in the minds of anyone, regardless if you are on one side or another, it is terrifying. It is life-changing. People have unfortunately taken their own lives because their worldview has been shattered in such a regard. So in order for us to understand each other and not go to that realm of violence, unfortunately, it does come down to, you have to step into the conversation, not saying that they're a hateful person or that, God, I wish they didn't hurt my family, hurt the person I love, hate the way I live. You don't enter the conversation like that. You enter in the conversation knowing that they are human, and that anything that breaks their worldview is the most terrifying thing to them. And so you have to approach them with a better understanding than they are giving you. You have to be the better person. It sucks. It's painful. You're going to be met with loud screams and yells and, you're wrong. How could you say this? You're an abomination. You're going to be confronted with that. And not many people can handle that. So of course, when people are in that position, they immediately go to, well, no, you're wrong. And this becomes a shouting match. But no, that's not how you can make change. It is sitting down, letting them be heard, and then still trying to appeal to their humanity, so that way when they do realize that their whole worldview is not what they imagined, it's softer of a fall. That's why those who advocate against, and those who go and talk to members of like the KKK or like really big religious bigots, they don't enter in like, well, you're a racist motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. Am I allowed to swear, motherfucker? Am I allowed to say that? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. No, you're good. You're good.
Hey.
They don't walk into the conversation where they're like, well, you're racist and we should hang you like you hung those people back in the blah, blah. They don't enter the conversation like that. They enter in like, so why do you feel that this person is an affront to what you believe? And let them have that conversation as an adult with a brain and a mentality, so that way you can understand where that fear lies, where it potentially came from, and re-educate them to have a better understanding. It's a hard situation, but I think that's where we need to go.
Yeah. I actually, if I can, I want to add on to that conversation as well,
Yeah,
because
go
a
ahead.
very similar question came up I was doing an ally panel for a trans community a couple weeks ago, and the question came up like, how do you discuss with people as an ally the topics where they may not align with your opinion? How do you present that? How do you discuss that with them? And yeah, I mirror the sentiment of you're not going to win by getting in a shouting match. And the thing that I really want to drive home for anybody, whether it's an ally or some, so yourself, you're defending yourself or anything like that, is the majority, 99.9% of humans, don't view themselves as the villain in their own personal story.
100%.
Everybody is the protagonist in their own personal story, and you have to approach it like that. And so it's more about understanding where that person is coming from and what they were taught, what they believe, what they learned, and then offering, and they may not take it, but offering counterpoints in a way that it's not antagonistic. Because you got to remember at that core, they think they're the good people in their own life story, because that's just how humans operate for the most part. The other 0.1% are sociopaths. We don't talk about them. But anyways, that's not a part of this conversation. No.
Sure.
But everybody, and that's the thing to remember, because I do talk to a lot of people and I do advocate and I do have those uncomfortable conversations with people who will sit there and go, well, you're just wrong, especially, like I say, coming from an evangelical Christian background and having a family that still is very practicing evangelical Christian. My uncles lead worship bands for crying out loud. So like they're in deep. And being able to have that conversation from a perspective of these people are not trying to be villains. They're just either misled or they're coming from a different perspective, and just hammering away at them with, gotcha lines or, like, oh, did you think about this? That's not how you approach it, because they're not a villain. And I don't think anybody purposefully is a villain. It's just that they're coming from a different perspective, and you've got to remember that when having that conversation. I'll close with one time on Omegle, because that's part of the content I do as a VTuber, unfortunately. I came across two guys, and I was in a female presenting avatar, and they asked me immediately right out. They're like, "Are you trans?" I'm like, "Well, no, I'm not, but I'm just doing some content right now," and yada yada yada. And we got into a half an hour conversation about the transgender movement, and because they were your stereotypical guys with the guns hanging on the wall and the questionable flags behind them that you can imagine which ones they were and all that sort of stuff. And they were like two very right-wing bros. But I have that conversation on recording, and I actually posted it on my Patreon for my Patreons to see, because it showed a really great example of a conversation with transphobes where they walked away literally word for word. And you can go watch the video if you're, I'm not trying to plug my Patreon, but if you are a Patreon, you can go watch the video.
No worries.
And where it's not about me screaming at them or getting, because they wanted a screaming match. They were on, a video chat. They were looking for somebody to beat up, verbally.
Yeah.
And I didn't give that to them. Instead, I gave them very sort of neutral counter arguments to how they felt and what they believed. And a lot of times, everything that I brought up, they just had never heard before. And by the end of the conversation, they literally nobody was yelling. They were just like, you know what? Fair. We never thought of it that way. Like that's literally how the conversation ended, because it didn't come from, I wasn't sitting there going, oh, I'm going to fight with you guys. Oh, I'm going to get a one up on you guys. It was just, have you thought of this? Have you thought of this? Well, this here, did you think of this? This is a fact. This is how humans operate, or this is how the world actually works. And just offering up information and not arguing, just being like, well, did you think of this? And remembering that maybe they were trying to be villains, but that's a whole other thing with Omega. But but them themselves, I wasn't speaking to the caricature that they were portraying on the internet. I was speaking to them, and I was just trying to understand where they were coming from, and understanding that they weren't actively trying to be evil. It's just that they had never been given strong countering information in a way that was not confrontational. And that's, I know we've kind of strayed from the original topic a little bit, but I definitely want to bring that up because that came up as well in the other panel that I did. It's just like, remember that inherently they're not villains. From their perspective, they are the protagonist in their story, and you have to figure out how you connect in that respect.
I don't think you strayed too far off because it answers the point that I was asking all of you. It's not about like just straight up like, homophobia or anything like that. It's how would you educate? How would you handshake? How would you talk to some like people, crowds of people, or even give advice to people who are looking for it to speak up and make it's so cheesy, but make the world a better place and a more acceptable place. Like I said, you and Michaela both pretty much like hit the nail on the head of we don't need it. Like violence will always beget violence. Fighting with people will only push them further away. And there's no right, to be fair, there is no right answer. There's many, many different answers and many different routes we can take. I'm very interested about what you guys would tell the people that are listening and each other.
I think the other thing is, and this is just adding on to like Michaela and Johnny like basically hit like all the right points in my opinion. I think the other thing to add to this is that you'll find a lot of the times also these people are hyper sheltered.
Oh yeah,
hyper sheltered. I was reading a fascinating psychological study that said a lot of people that tend to lean towards very reactionary, even violent behavior towards like things that they do not know. It's because of a sense of isolation, and because of that isolation, some of the things that make them the most uncomfortable are things that they aren't exposed to. Like, so for a good chunk of these people, like I would almost guarantee you that like let's like in regard to like Johnny's conversation, I could almost guarantee you that like there's a good chance that those two probably never had an actual conversation with someone that they thought was trans. And I'm not talking about like, dropping mean comments on a video. I mean like actually having a conversation.
Yep.
Because again, like, and because of that, like they don't know. They like literally all they know is what they have been told. And if they're like, and if these people are hyper isolated, there's a good chance all that they've been told are those horrible, heinous things that Michaela brought up. Like, oh, these are groomers, these are monsters, these are degenerates, these are vermin. So like when you have absolutely no real exposure to these groups, and the only thing you've been told for your whole life is bad. These are bad. They are evil. They are bad. They are coming after you and your kids. Like, yeah, no, if you're uneducated, if you have no experience, like actual, like lived in experience, like not like being trans or alphabet soup, but like knowing people. Yeah, no, like if you're only going off the things you've been told. Conversation is necessary. And again, ignoring the like 0.2% that are just sociopathic monsters, because again, not talking about them. I having an actual earnest conversation, not a shouting match, like not like I wouldn't even call it like a heated debate. Just have a discussion, and you will find that most of these people are as crazy as it sounds. Some of them are willing to listen. And I'm not, and I think that's the best way to go about it. It's not going to happen overnight. Let's be real. Juneteenth was yesterday. We're still dealing with racial problems. Yep. This is going to take a while. However, like just responding with basically responding to the hatred with hatred is not going to cause anything. All the hatred's going to do is validate to these people that they have a valid reason to go against you, that everything that they're being told is being validated because we're attacking them now, we're antagonizing them. Like it won't really amount to any long-term substantial change. Like having those conversations, like giving that education while also accepting it's going to take a while, I think is the best route to go.
It's really interesting to put into perspective that a lot of the people that we'd have to sit down and talk to about this stuff, I think it's a lack of general understanding, and also them never being put on the spot to realize that there's more than just what their small worldview is. I've always been a firm believer that hatred is taught. You don't.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not born
I agree with
hating,
that.
Yeah.
right? To have such an emotional reaction to how much effort it takes to be hateful, it honestly makes me so sad. You know, it's so sad to see people being taught this way when the reality is it's not something that is an inherent human trait. And I think that when it comes to educating and teaching others, I've always been a firm believer in that I don't need them to agree with me, right? But if they're willing to understand and hear me out, that's already a step moving forward. Because I grew up in an area, not to go political or anything, it was very right wing, right?
Mhm.
And my adopted grandpa, he adopted me, but he is your like stereotypical white gunslinging man. Okay, he has a room just for his guns. That man taught me how to hunt. That man taught me a lot of things that if I didn't have him in my life, I would be very sad. He was definitely like an actual father figure to me because I never had one. And this man is a full-blown Republican, and I'll never be able to change that. No matter how many conversations we have with each other, I know that's something that I'll never be able to inherently change, but he's not a horrible person. He's honestly a very good person. He's always been kind to people that I've seen, and it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes you won't be able to change people's beliefs. It sucks, but it's true. But I think what really will make the world go round is if we just have more acceptance and understanding. If we're willing to listen to each other. And I think that's like something that this world lacks a lot of, you know, and even being able to talk about something as difficult as this is already, you know, a lot of, you know, it's difficult to talk about this stuff. So I think that already having this conversation is really, I hope it's eye-opening to other people, because I think that for a lot of us, we're not trying to pick a fight.
Yeah.
You know, we just want people to understand. You don't even have to accept it. You can understand and then decide what you want to do from there.
Mintastic, we're not saying that we're going to openly open our arms for conversation. That's not what we're trying to say here. What we're trying to say is we need to have more of an open mind, an understanding where they're coming from. But if they are coming with us in violence, we have every right to self-defend. We have
Mhm.
every right to defend ourselves and the ones we love. So if
Yeah.
they are not willing to listen, if they are coming in with violence, whether it be for the reason of fear or just they're the 2% sociopathic motherfucker that you just want to beat in the head, whichever the case may be, you still have a right to self-defend, but you still wish to have that olive branch because by being as violent as them, we are no better.
By
Yes.
coming in with violence, if somebody were to come in with violence, it means that they have chosen that from the first place. There was no conversation to be had from their mindset. There has been so much truth spoken from everybody here in response to Audius's prompt, and I have given a lot of thought to this, especially after the life experience that I have had, because I understand it so intrinsically now about where homophobia comes from, especially in men. And everything I have to say about it does relate to specifically, like, if I were to have that speech, you know, to everybody who's in that position, as Audiosu spoke of, it comes down very simply to one matter, which I wish that people who are homophobic would understand. I am not trying to take anything away from you and who you are.
Mhm.
You being you is exactly what I and we want. We don't want to take food from your mouths or your kitchen. We don't want to take money from your paycheck. We want you to have your job, your family, your straight marriage, your kids. We want the happiness that you want in life, but we want our happiness in our own way. And not a single ounce of that has to come from you or demanding that you change your own path of happiness. The only thing we ask is that equal respect for each other and recognition of we just want to be happy. I want for you what I want for myself. And that's the only thing that I really ask. And it relates to what I think is truly what happens. And I've understood this from all that I've been through. I understand why it took me so long to accept myself, because all of the signals that I was getting were homophobic signals related to the male identity, the image of what is a man, what should a man be, what is bad in a man. And that's what happens with this when you encounter homophobic men. When I came out, I was in an environment after my cousin had come out, and he was far more effeminate. It was not a surprise to my family. But an interesting thing happened. They stopped making jokes. They softened up noticeably. Why? Because now it was one of their own. Now it was not somebody who is the other, who is the weird thing. And then I entered the picture, and I was a surprise. And my father, I sat down with him over breakfast and I explained it to him. And I could see that the gears in his head were turning, and he was just kind of turning it over. He was at the same time accepting what I was telling him about myself and the position that I was in, while also just seeing the entire picture of who he knew his son to be, who he had raised, and that this is a picture that also fits in with likes men. And it happened with my uncles too. And I could see it with every other man in my life who is classically masculine, who used to make the gay jokes. Because what happens with this is that homophobia in men comes from the fear of what it means for them. Because it relates so much to what Michaela got on about so wonderfully, so intelligently, is that it does come down to identity. It's about a fear of, who am I if you are this? Because I thought I had it figured out. My worldview was complete. I learned what the world is. I learned what a man is. I learned what a woman is. And now this is a direct challenge to that. And it makes me question everything I've known. And if I accept that, I am no longer secure in my place of my understanding of self. So what does that mean? And that immediately injects fear. Because being wrong about something, we've taught people for a while now, it's been painful to be wrong. To be wrong is the worst thing in the world, and we're slowly realizing it shouldn't have been that way. The opposite should be true. That when you learn that you are wrong about something, it should be illuminating. It should be something to celebrate. Is, thank God I've learned now. I was wrong. It is a different picture, and now I know. So for men, it's that fear. But then when you encounter them and you teach them, it can be exactly everything that you are, that I am, plus this. It is not an immediate destruction of it. The only thing that seems to have changed is an assumption that you had. But it's the same love. It's the same person. I am me and you are you. And once they understand that, once they adjust to, yeah, it's my nephew, he's gay. Or yeah, it's my son, he's gay. It's my friend, he's gay. Anything like that, they see the humanity. They understand the whole picture can exist. And a magical thing happens. nothing changes with them. If something changes with them, it's their understanding, maybe of the whole picture or something inside of them. But I have not had any family ever turn on me. I've not had a cold shoulder. I've seen their confusion as they try to get their heads around it and accept that's part of the picture. But once they do that, they warm up and things are normal again. And I see that they get it. And if more men had this experience of just meeting others, if more people had this experience that we keep talking about and that so many of us have spoken about tonight, of come to the table, have the conversation, and you can see the human being come away with an understanding and realize nothing about that conversation changed who you are or demanded anything from your life as a sacrifice, we would get where we're trying to go.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy to think that if we just, had the opportunity to just learn, I tell people time that you're right. So many people think being wrong is such an evil and bad thing, but the reality is if you're wrong and someone tells you what could be better, what is right, you should be happy, You should be happy that you now know more of a bigger worldview.
Yeah.
And it just sucks for me to see that people are so stuck in their own heads over what they believed in for so long to not be correct in their eyes. Um, Coming from my background as a professor, I have met many students from many backgrounds. I teach computer science, so the generic group of students I get is very mixed, but it's actually very rare for me to get queer students. They're usually, honestly, it's kind of rare if I ever get any female presenting students, to be completely honest. They're usually men. It's always been really interesting to see or listen to the topics that they bring up now in this era. Something that has really warmed my heart is that the one of the good things about being able to talk about this stuff now is that people are more open to speaking about this stuff. It makes me really happy to see, the people that will be shaping up the next generation truly talking and discussing about these things that, are a part of their lives. And at the end of the day, all I wish for going forward, even now, is just that people are willing to talk. People are willing to listen. People are willing to learn. I think having the want to learn about things will make life so much easier. I think also a lot of people don't understand that the only way to learn is also from discussion with others. There's only so much you can teach for yourself. Learning things from other people and their own experiences will truly shape your own morals and feelings to subjects that you are unsure or don't know about. I think that's what I have to say on that.
Absolutely.
And I think also like the other importance of having these conversations is that like you might actually like also reveal something to them that they themselves didn't know. Going back to like what Nick was saying about like I had a worldview and now like it's being questioned. Like I've had discussions about like things like gender, sexuality with people before. And I remember there was a day where I was with like some family friends and we were having like this conversation. We were having the conversation because again, it comes up a lot, especially when you're like having like the conversations with people they're a little bit older than us. And I remember having the conversation about like pansexuality. And like there were some people that didn't agree with me. But after the conversation, I distinctly remember this moment. There was a moment when this woman, I didn't know her. It was like a friend of my mother's friend. And they were like, hey, so I was listening to the conversation you had with those two. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And then she looked like, I didn't know that this was a thing. I have felt this way my whole life. This woman was 60.
60.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's why these conversations are also important. Like, because there are some people legitimately do not know.
It can heal people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of healing, if no one has anything else to say, how about we have a lighter question of since we're talking about alphabet soup, what's their favorite soup?
God,
What
okay,
is our favorite
um,
soup? Damn.
Oh.
I have to admit I'm a ramen snob, but I need like the best of the best
Listen,
ramen.
you and I are going to have a conversation because I'm also a ramen connoisseur. Thank you very much.
Soup, huh? I think my favorite soup is actually a very specific Vietnamese dish that I grew up with. I don't know the English name for it. But it
Like not
was no, it's not pho. As much as I love pho, pho was only saved for times when we had money.
Ah.
Pho is a very expensive broth to make. If you're making chicken pho, it's not too bad if you use like a rotisserie chicken for the base and stuff. But for beef pho, that beef costs money.
Yeah, no, beef expensive.
So if we ever had the opportunity to eat that stuff, it was very rare. But whenever I wanted to have soup or if I wasn't feeling good, my mom would make the soup. It literally translated to macaroni soup. So noi soup. And it was like a clear base broth with pork bones, carrots, onions, with some rice macaroni noodles. And it's probably like one of the most simplest soups that I've ever had, but it's something that I find a lot of comfort in. So I think that's my favorite soup.
Nice.
I have to jump on probably udon or miso.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm kind of basic.
Ain't no wrong with that. Ain't no wrong with that.
Beef
That's
udon
okay.
sounds good.
Oh yeah, it does sound really good. So nice.
Mine would mine is not a stereotypical soup per se, but when you live in New England, the classic thing
Clam
is
chowder.
the white clam chowder.
Oh my
You
god.
gotta get it.
I love
You get
clam
the
chowder.
white clam chowder and the clam cakes, and you get yourself a good place that's got those, and wow, that is soul food. That is New England soul food.
We do.
100%.
Our zoo here is actually famous for their white clam chowder. Actually,
Really?
Yeah.
No, yeah, there's one place that I love getting clam chowder from. And it's not even on the East Coast, it's on the West Coast. Because I had a stint of growing up there for a few years. But it's in Seattle, Washington. Pike Place,
Oh, wow.
clam
Yeah,
chowder.
there we go.
Every
See,
time
I would trust it in Seattle. Yeah, I would trust it there.
so good.
We're pretty quirky.
My favorite place, has a clam chowder flight. You can get like cups of their different types of clam chowder.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's so fucking good.
It's funny that he says it because what I was talking about was Seattle.
Yeah, no, I've had it on the East Coast, and mind you, East Coast clam chowder it hits, but the Seattle place still has my heart every single time I go.
It's that fish place. It's just that fish market right there.
Yes, the fish market. Yep, 100%.
I'll remember. At some point in my life, I'm gonna end up in Seattle, and I know it. So
Oh
I'll
my
try to
God,
remember.
Yeah. I mean, going through Seattle only takes like 3 hours, so.
I'm just gonna say, like, since it's Pride Month, I gotta recommend Capitol Hill during our
Yes.
Pride Week. Our marches, our streets are literally paved in rainbows. It's just fun.
Ooh.
Awesome.
100%. Yeah, I'm now in the Midwest, but if you ever have the chance to go to Boys Town, Chicago, it's also paved in rainbows.
Oh,
Oh,
Boys
yeah.
Town! I've been in Boys
Oh,
Town,
man.
but during the coldest part of the year.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
for Midwest
That's
Fur Fest.
so cold.
So sorry.
Yeah, it's like, and like even then, you still feel it. You know, you still see the sights at night and understand. Oh yeah, Boys Town is Boys Town, even when it's this freaking cold. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been around there.
I love it. It's so fun.
See, I've heard boys sound like Chicago. Wait, that's my home turf. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Hey, that's my turf. Hold on. What are you guys doing here? Get out.
What are you doing here?
No, I've been
Don't
living
make
here
me
for
big on the table again.
a long time, so. But anyways, I think hopefully that answered your discussion point, Audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really good. I think that
I think a lot of people had a lot of good things to say.
I think it was something that really needed to be discussed too, because like even like if we don't bring it up with like pride, I think this
Yeah.
is just in general, like topics in general, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just need to understand each other and just learn how to listen, you know?
I
We can
think a
be the
part of-
reason that somebody's mind changes just by
Yeah.
giving them the chance to hear us.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Not to get too cheesy, but I think a big part about being proud is also like being proud of pride is also looking at the ugly topics too.
For sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see. Someone in chat asked, "How about favorite gay author or piece of media? Maybe something that helped push the idea of it to you."
Oh no. Oh no.
Would it be bad to say Yowie?
I'm gonna hide in the corner.
You-
Sorry, I'm gonna hide real quick.
Would it be bad to say Yowie Yuri?
I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. No, I'm right there with it.
Honestly, yeah, no, it Oh gosh, I'm trying to think.
It was definitely Yowie. And you know what?
I
It was
literally-
Cardcaptor
Yeah,
Sakura. It was the
yeah.
older brother
the
and the one
Cardcaptor
dude.
Sakura.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
That's
they
crazy.
gay. And then Sailor
Yeah.
Moon with Sailor Uranus and Sailor
Mhm.
Neptune.
Bro.
And in the English dub, they were like, they're cousins. I was like, they are not cousins. They're fucking. There's no way. And then I watched
Okay.
it in Japanese, and I was like, oh, okay, that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, so this wasn't a like meant to be like a queer story or like a queer creator, but like this is more so just a like looking back, it made more sense. Looking back at like young Red Claw, yeah, no, that made sense. For some reason, when I was like, I think like around the time I was like 11 was around the time the Cell games in DBZ were a thing. I thought Gohan was cute. I was like, why am I finding Gohan cute? What is this?
Don't you love it looking
No.
back and realizing the moments that it was sneaking up on you? You realize in retrospect what was happening now.
Absolutely.
100%. It's so funny. So I actually we'll start wrapping up with this last question because the cats are biting my toes again. Usually when
no.
they start biting my toes, that means it's time to feed them. But I did have a fun question, which is basically, what was any fictional or real people crushes that's like really like made you realize, like give you that clarity that you're like, oh,
David Bowie.
oh,
That's not fair.
that's a good choice.
Everyone's.
That is
My
everyone's
favorite,
choice.
my favorite with that is the one Reddit post where this guy posted the picture. He's like, "Hey, my dad's on the back of a bike with David Bowie," and the whole comment section was just literally, "David Bowie fucked your dad, dude. I hope you."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's just, you look at the picture, and you're like, oh yeah, yep.
Your dad's the man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. Oh my gosh. I gotta think about it for a second. Like one
Yeah,
that was
take
something
your
like,
time.
yeah, this will do it.
See, it's weird for me because I don't have an answer.
No, that's okay, because I don't really have an answer either.
I mean, like,
I have
feel
an
like,
answer,
you know,
but it's
it's
just
personal. It's one of those things like, do I really want to say it out loud?
Oh, okay. I'll let you think about it. What about you, Nick?
Oh boy. Well, this works for two questions of what activated you hardcore, but oh Jesus. Sly Cooper. Come on. The fucking
There's
whiz,
a
the
double.
voice. Oh my god. You know what? If anything really started me on the path of voices can be sexy, Sly Cooper. Come on now.
Yeah. Wow, Sly Cooper is, you're like pulling from my brain right now, because I remember I was in love with Carmelita.
Oh, Carmelita had it too. It's like, oh boy, what a game to make a bisexual.
Yeah, like what was up with her crop top, man? I was like, man, why does she look like that? This is a cartoon character. Why do I feel this way?
Why is this happening?
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to think. When I asked this question to other panel guests, basically what I said for me was that I realized that for me, I really liked the aesthetics of the characters, right?
Mm.
And like one of those would be like Shigo, which I think is like a basic answer,
yeah.
but oh my god, Shigo. Oh
Shigo
my
was
god,
cool.
Shigo.
Shigo activated a lot of women who realized they liked women. I've seen
Yes.
that on the internet.
Yes. I loved Shiro and Keith from Voltron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who else? When it came to like real people, it kind of I didn't realize this until chat pointed out, but they were like, you like men that are dumb and women that are smart. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, almost all of the lady characters you picked were super boss lady intelligent, and then all the characters that you picked were men are kind of dumb. I was like, oh
You
my
like
God.
the girl bosses and the himbos. It's perfectly
you
balanced,
go.
as all
See?
things should be.
Exactly. So I
It's
thought
a
it
little
was
flavor
funny
from column A and B.
because I loved Reese Witherspoon when she played Elwoods in Legally
Oh.
Blonde. I was like this woman is beautiful and she's so smart. And I was like immediately I think that's like really like jump tracked me for like I really liked women in power.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like mine are more on the nose about my namesake. So I'm feeling like I'm about to call myself out here.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it's two due to me. It's VK Blanca, also known as Junya.
Oh.
And I guess I would say Otto, but Otto is basically a VTuber.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably elect to Ellie Goulding.
A good choice. I love so many of her songs.
I know. I fell in love with her voice. I was like, oh my god, she's so fucking pretty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like,
Voices
Junya
are
is-
sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Junya has such a good voice. It is so pretty and handsome. Like, oh
Yep.
my god.
Okay. I've decided to actually open up and
All right.
completely get canceled. I'm gonna get canceled right the hell now.
It's okay. I've
So-
heard crazy shit, so I'm sure I won't be surprised.
Okay,
No
but no,
surprise.
listen. Two individuals in here are gonna look at me very strangely very quickly.
Okay.
So part of my hypersexuality is the fact that I have an oralism kink.
Oh.
So I work in ASMR. So can you imagine the issues that come around with working in this?
Wait. Pause. Before you go on, what is that specifically?
Oralism is essentially being. How do I put this as TOS friendly?
Only because I have
Yeah,
I have an oral fixation. Like I always have to chew on something. So I don't know if that's not the same thing, right?
it's not the same.
I believe she
Okay.
means ear-wise.
Yeah, so yeah, it's
Oh,
essentially
yeah.
yeah. So it's not a matter of a person doing this to me. I don't imagine individuals themselves.
Uh-huh.
I imagine sounds. It's essentially the feeling of ASMR, like the actual term of ASMR, not like the job of like whispering into microphones and like doing bullshit like that. It's
Okay.
the actual neuron reaction that stimulates me in ways that is not TOS friendly. And that was essentially how I found out that it's more demisexual than not when I was with my partner. So essentially it comes down to, it's not like a person necessarily per se, but it's more of just like, yeah, if you see me listening to ASMRs, it's for reasons. So it's
Gotcha.
the ASMRs that are going in.
Handshake
And now
emoji.
I'm worried that two people in here are gonna look at me very strangely, and now I'm gonna go hide now. Okay, go bye.
No, I'm just gonna smile and realize this
Yeah.
is why you're good at your job.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I validate you as a fellow audiophile.
So,
Bless.
I am
Yeah.
also an audiophile, so I get you.
Oh,
No,
yeah, that's
people,
so
it's very, very
interesting.
strange for me to explain that.
No, you good. You good.
No, yeah, you're totally
okay,
fine. Yeah.
Okay, one character that definitely I was like, yeah, no, this confirms it. Any of y'all watch they say it's Maggie, but it's spelled Magi.
Magi?
Yeah,
Magi.
Yes.
Yeah, Maggie, but
Yeah.
my brain's like it's Magi, but whatever. Judal.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good choice.
Yeah, Judal. Yeah.
Yeah. He had
So
no
androgynous.
right to be so attractive.
That midriff was illegal.
Yeah, that's actually such a good choice because I feel like as much as I love Sinbad I feel
I was
like
about to say,
everyone defaults to
mention
Sinbad.
Everyone defaults to Sinbad. That's the safe answer. Don't be a
Yes.
coward. Come on.
Judar, oh my god. Yeah. And he was a little sassy little brat, I think also.
Yeah,
which is why I
a
liked him,
little sassy guy.
for sure.
I had,
How
a,
about-
had a weird pipeline one.
Yeah, sure.
So back when I was like a kid and I didn't understand what those feelings were, I always really liked Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Good choice.
Always my favorite. And then when
Yeah.
Korra came out and I was starting to actually like explore that, my sexuality and things like that, it was Bolin 100%.
Oh,
so you
but
also
Bolin's a
very
sweet
choice.
bean.
I
Yeah.
love Bolin. Like, I'll never forgive Korra for what they did to Bolin. 'cause he was
Oh
Also-
awesome.
god, yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was my fave too.
Super soft spot for Avatar.
True.
I don't know about a super soft spot. I like it a lot, but I was gonna say I feel like you could more so say like himbo-coded characters,
Yep.
or just
Oh,
have
yeah.
muscles that are big and stocky.
Mm-hmm.
Also fair.
So it happens like that.
How about
don't
you,
realize you have a
Johnny?
type until you look back.
Besides David Bowie.
Besides David Bowie, oh,
Yeah.
man.
Besides David Bowie.
Whoa.
That's always my go-to.
David Bowie in the Labyrinth. There.
I
it is.
think, yeah, okay, because
I
I feel like David Bowie did that to everyone. So I was just wondering if there's
Yeah.
anything else.
I saw it in a theater once. They did a screening once at my local multiplex, and right when everybody knows the scene, when the tight pants come out and the bulge is there, somebody from the audience just went, "Holy crap, it's huge!" And everybody,
Oh,
Reportedly it was. And there's a fun thing about David Bowie and Mick Jagger is that it's pretty well documented now. Everybody who's had something to say that can effectively confirm it. Mick Jagger and David Bowie, they were a thing. They were
there was
they
no
were
way.
a
David
hush
Bowie's
hush.
wife
They were
walked in on them.
absolutely
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, that's
It
so
was
funny.
very romantic.
Oh
They were
yeah.
hypersexual.
Yeah, for sure.
They were dancing in the streets and in the sheets. So.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what is your guilty pleasure? Hold on, wait. No, that's not the end of the sentence. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. What is
Family
your,
friendly fun time.
What is your guilty pleasure song or artist?
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm coming back in.
My
now.
bad. The chat started scrolling. I had to scroll back up.
My guilty pleasure? No way.
I don't want to.
Don't ask. But,
Yes.
I'm trying to
Yes.
think. It's really difficult for me because I love music. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a really huge range of music. I'm not really
Yeah.
picky when it comes to genres. There's like a few songs that I'll like always fall back on, I guess. But I don't know if there's like a guilty pleasure song.
What does guilty pleasure mean in this
Right,
context? though?
yeah.
Yeah, like it's a song
That's
that
my
nobody else
question.
likes.
you know what? I'll
but you
swing for
do?
the extreme. That way you all
Oh.
have a baseline. I'll swing for the extreme.
Okay.
Okay.
One song that gets a guilty pleasure out of me in whatever way you see fit. Mondo Grosso,
Oh!
False Sympathy.
Yes. A
So-
wonderful choice.
And so it's one, again, going into my oralism. It's a fascinating because like I could just be working and I could be like, okay, I'm gonna put vampire music on if I'm working on a vampire script, or oh, I'm doing slime stuff, so I might as well put some fantasy music on or whatever. Whenever I'm just needing to just like be myself or just like kind of sit with myself, just that having that techno sound mixed with that sultriness that you'd hear from like, if you remember Whitney Houston's "Would You Mind." Not Whitney Houston's, fucking Janet Jackson's "Would You Mind."
There we go. I was about to say.
I'm so sorry. I'm such an ass.
It's okay. It's okay.
My brain slipped him in my head. But it's just having that sensuality behind a very slow, hard-hitting techno song that you wouldn't expect to be combined so effortlessly to make it sound sexual, and yet it works.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there's like a band that I really love. I love Skillet.
Hey, you know, actually,
Question.
yeah, I understand why. I understand why you love them, and also why you bring them up as that, because it is kind of a kind of admission. But here's the thing: is that some of their stuff genuinely does fucking slam.
It's so good. I
And
love
Welcome to the Jam?
Skillet.
The fact
like
that they
that.
made the violin that much hotter is criminal.
Honestly, like I think actually, you remember fucking Veggie Tales? They made a song for Veggie Tales, and I didn't know about it until I
What?
chanced upon it.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
they made a song for Veggie Tales,
Oh.
and it actually fucks. Like, it's so good. I listened to it unironically.
Dude, did you say Chance the Rapper?
Chance the
I
Rapper?
thought I misheard. No, I
No,
must have
no.
misheard.
No, I'm talking about Skillet still.
Okay.
I've met Chance the Rapper a few times,
Oh.
and that's
Oh,
only
wow.
because I've seen him drive his car around.
Oh,
This area.
his neighbors, he fist bumps him.
Never fist bump, but I have run into him a few times because he's around this area a lot.
She.
But yeah, it's so hard to pick music. I listen to so much music.
Yeah. I think the only
Yeah.
I'd have to go for lesser known, which would be like Mark Indigo, because I have a boy crush on him.
Okay.
Like I don't even know if anybody who even knows who Mark Indigo is. So I'm like, high five, I'll take this.
No, I like Mark Indigo. I've listened to a few
Oh.
of his songs.
Yeah.
No, I don't really have a guilty pleasure like song, just because it is very much like I have like a really wide range like different genres and stuff I listen to. Like I don't like. There's not like I don't really have a song like, oh, I kind of feel bad that I like this song. Like not
Mhm.
a thing.
You know, saying that, there is one song.
Oh no! Actually,
you changed it.
No, listen.
Another song.
Okay,
Oh, no.
listen. I grew up as a scene kid. Warped Tour,
Yeah.
Riot Fest, all of that.
Yo, what the fuck is up?
And this was before mindless self-indulgence got canceled, okay?
Oh my god! Keep going. You're speaking my language.
There was one song on the album that the artist for Gorillaz drew for them. It's the F Slur song. It sounds terrible saying that right now.
I'm hearing it.
And like,
I'm hearing it in my head.
listen. It's that song was one of the first songs that I listened to where it kind of like clicked open for me because it just was like angry gay music. It wasn't anything specifically bad in a sense. Like, definitely the title is fucked up, but it was in the times where like people said that normally.
Yeah.
And it's still like the shit that they did, it makes it really hard for me to listen to their music now. But that song, and honestly, so many of their songs were some of my favorite songs I used to listen to a lot.
Dude, I fucking get it because oh man, MSI was like a seasonal play for me, and even Jimmy's own personal stuff when he finally released his solo album was a seasonal rotation for me. And now it's one of those cases where like, oh shit, I don't even know if I can listen to it now. But I have a friend from way back who taught me, don't be ashamed of anything. It's like there's no guilty pleasure music. It's just you listen to music, you listen to fucking everything. If it works for you, it works. And he introduced me to mindless self-indulgence. It was hysterical because the first time that I went over his place, he was hanging out in his basement. He's just like, yeah, come on down, and had a DVD on of an MSI concert, and just immediately getting, again, a situation of being dropped right in the deep end of a pool for a brand new experience and a brand new culture, this time of music and performance. And so he ended up introducing me to so many things where at first I was like, I don't know. And then 2 years later, it's in my constant rotation. And it's like, I listen to this. He would always get me to do stuff. To this day, he still does it. It never fails. But if there is anything that would surprise people, I think, about what I listen to that is kind of a really sort of thing, I have, because of my mother, and what she used to listen to on the radio as I was growing up, 80s house dance music.
Oh my god.
Stuff
So
like
good.
Shannon,
Yes.
let the music play,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and oh man, and just bleeding into, and Kite and I are gonna bond over this. I know it, Tyga. We already kind of have over Twitter, but that good old 90s pop radio shit
Yep.
with the
Oh,
acoustic
yeah.
guitars and the culture that the grunge counterculture was basically trying to be in opposition of. The other day, I woke up thinking of Sugar Ray, and I put that on.
So good though. The music in that era
Yeah.
was so chef's kiss.
It really was. I mean, it sticks with me to this day.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just remember that stuff. But yes, the 80s dance house music, stuff like Shannon, other things, like sometimes I'll just put on a playlist on YouTube of the hits of that time and I'll recognize stuff and realize that's what the name of that was. Because my childhood is just littered with that music. I had that influence from mom, and then the rest of it was rock and metal from dad. So that's my roots.
For sure. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I listen to a lot of scene music still, which is so funny. A lot of people like don't I think when they see me and talk to me, they don't think, and then I start listing all of the stuff that I've seen and listened to, and they're like, "Oh wow, he really was a scene kid."
Okay, I gotta test you for a second. All right, and let's see if anybody else jumps in. Everywhere I go, bitches always know.
The Charlie scene has got
a witty that he loves this show, bitch. Yeah!
Oh my god.
There it is. There it is.
Neurons just turned on.
Yeah.
Like literally, like my Pavlov kicked in. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, the brain link.
choice.
That was a very good choice. The brain
We're
link
all
just connected.
fucking filthy trailer trash when that song comes on.
I know. You always convince yourself not to like Hollywood Undead, but you do.
Fucking Hollywood
Yes.
Undead is so good. Oh my god. Their new song is good too. I still be listening to their new music.
I haven't listened to any of their new stuff. It's been years.
It's good.
Literally,
It's
yeah.
good.
Like I was like, I went to like one of their concerts, and it was like it was a weird experience because it was like the first time it was my first concert ever, and then it was my first mosh pit ever. So I was like, oh god.
Wow.
Oh man. Alrighty guys. I think that this panel today went wonderfully. Thank you so much for everyone that swung by. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to be at this panel with me. I'm really thankful.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
Of course.
Absolute delight.
I'm definitely gonna give you guys some final words, so we'll go in order from left to right. If there's anything you guys want to say, shout out for yourself to chat, please do so. And yeah, we'll start with audio.
I don't really have much to shout out. I just make sure that you're always, talking to your friends, being a shoulder, an accepting shoulder. Make sure that if you notice somebody that's struggling with their own problems, help some people out here. Spreading love and positivity has always been the message and the prime directive in my content creator space. So if you want to help me out, make the world a better place.
100%. Thank you so much, audio, and go ahead, Michaela.
I would say my final thoughts is just be open to communication. Regardless of whether or not you feel comfortable with yourself or whether you're not sure if you feel comfortable with other people, always be open to communication, because communication is what makes us all more educated down the line, and gives us the ability to learn, grow, and be better than who we were yesterday. And that should be everyone's goal, is to be better than who you were yesterday.
Sounds good, sounds good. Go ahead, Nick.
Much agreed. Much agreed on both. I guess two things. First, when it comes to anything in regards to coming out, you own your coming out on your time, to who you want, when you want, under the conditions you want. And when it comes to any sort of discovery journey along the path of sexuality, gender identity, any of it, it is a journey. Don't be in a rush to figure it out, and don't place pains on yourself to try figuring it out. Figuring it out is just every natural step of the way of exploration and realizing, oh, this is what I'm feeling and this is how my experience is. And you don't have to fit yourself into a box. Simply find out who you are by just going about your life and enjoying it as it comes to you.
100%. Thank you so much, Nick.
No
Go
problem.
ahead, Red.
Like echoing everything you said. Always just remember, you are loved. There are like even when it doesn't feel like it, you are absolutely loved. And for everyone in chat, just don't forget to love each other. Like during this time, don't forget to love each other. It's really easy to fall into like pessimistic hate. But just remember that like it doesn't have to be that way. You are loved, you are valid, and you're gonna be okay.
100%. Thank you, Red. Go ahead, Roy.
Everyone took what I was gonna say.
Get record.
Oh, I would actually like to say it based on my own personal experience. There's no right way to be part of the LGBTQIA plus community. If you are, identifying in the the alphabet soup, as we have been affectionately calling it, that's all it is. You don't owe it to anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone a title. You don't owe anyone a label. It's all on you. You get to decide what your sexuality, what your gender expression, what your identity, what all of that means for you. And you have to do what makes you happy and keeps you safe. And following that is more important than any other person's preconceived notion of what it means to be whatever. So, first and foremost, do you.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Roy. And last but not least, we have Johnny.
All right, I'm going to come at this from a different angle.
All right, we're ready.
Here we go.
All right.
We haven't talked about this too much, so I will say for those out there listening who are our Alphabet Soup allies, thank you. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for you. You have more impact than you know.
For sure.
And thank you so much for just being supportive to the people around you that need it. And so, yeah, I'm going to take my time to shout out the allies. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you again, guys.
It's nice meeting all of you.
I'm so
Absolutely.
happy
Thank
that we
you.
were able to do this. So
Hell yeah.
Same.
thank you
Yep.
for allowing me the opportunity to do this panel with you guys.
It was an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
Absolutely. This was
Handshake emoji.
fantastic.
I hope you guys were really comfortable. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope we got to talk about a lot of things you guys wanted to talk about. So thank you.
So
Absolutely.
super comfortable.
This is the
Right,
longest you've been without saying you hate me, Tyga.
He's got a point. He's got a point. I tolerate his bullshit too much. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. I won't keep you guys any longer. I'm gonna wrap up for chat. Have a good rest of your night. And for anyone in
You too.
chat,
Thank
if you guys
you.
want to follow them, they're all tagged in the title and also in the pin comment. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. Wait. Okay, so we gave you Gunbreaker. What? You gave me Gunbreaker? Mods, shoot K. Shoot K, Sarah. It's on site. How dare he put me on Gunbreaker? That is what. You know what? Hold on. You know what? Pause. Answer my phone call right now. Where are you? Where? Hold on. You can. Hold on. Answer right now. Grace is
Okay, let me explain myself.
yeah. Explain yourself right now.
Let me explain myself. Okay, so basically we were looking at the character, right?
Okay.
We were looking at the character and we were basing it off design. And we were like, oh man, he's all messily and stuff. And he's wearing like a suit and tie and stuff. And then Hazumi was like, I'd make him a monk. And I was like, he doesn't look very monkish, you know? He doesn't, because Gunbreakers wear like suit and ties sometimes. And I was like, yo, we should give him Gunbreaker because he can shoot, he can swing the gun blade, and he looks like really cool. And then Hazumi was like, yeah, the chat agreed too. And I was like, okay, cool. So Gunbreaker, guys, and we put you in Gunbreaker. And then like I was like, so Tyga plays Gunbreaker, and then someone in chat said no. And then I was like, oh, we're gonna die later.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
No, please,
Yeah,
please. It's not that bad. We weren't going off like what people actually played. Like we put Kane in Paladin because he looks like a Paladin, right?
Uh-huh.
And we put Nico in Viper because he gives Viper energy. You know what I mean? You know.
Uh-huh.
And we put Kite in Monk. You know, because he seems really strong. He looks like he wears monk gear. And
Okay.
yours was really hard to do because you were wearing a bartender outfit, and I don't know what class would wear a bartender outfit. So we was like, just do Gunbreaker because he gives Gunbreaker energy, right? Right.
You know, if anything, I would have expected you to put in Red Mage based off my clothes.
Actually, hold on. I need to go back in the vibe because I could have sworn I brought that up because I was like, oh, but Tiger looks really flashy. Red mages like to look all classy and stuff. So maybe we should do red mage. And then Hazu was like, nah, I can see you typing. I can see you.
No, you can't.
Please.
I don't even like Gunbreaker.
Do you like tanking at all?
I'm a tank main. I only play
Close
warrior.
enough. Warrior? Oh, that's the last one we would have guessed. Oh,
That's crazy.
because we were like warriors wear really like leathery and like kind of nakedy clothes, and you wore like a suit, like a bartender outfit. So we were like, it can't be warrior. We can't put him in warrior because he doesn't really seem warrior. He seems like
what? I'll give you a pass if it's off of aesthetics. If it's off aesthetics, you get a pass.
Yeah. We were definitely doing it off VTuber designs. We weren't doing it off personality and all that.
I don't even think personality. I play warrior because it's the best tank.
That's debatable.
Oh, you really want to get into this game right now? You on thin ice. You on thin ice. What are you, a paladin main?
Damn, you guessed that on the spot, huh?
Yeah, because I know you seem like you'd be pulling out them spreadsheets.
I don't know. If you take a look at the logs here, actually, Nerge. If you take a look.
Okay, that's okay. I won't be your main tank. It's okay.
But you forgive me though, right? For putting you in Gunbreaker?
Anyways, thank you so much for everyone that stopped by the panel. I super duper appreciate it. I hope everyone had a really good time. Sorry for the little tangent. I had to hear out his plea. I'll think about whether or not I'll forgive him. I'll give it 24 hours to marinate. I'll give it Gunbreaker. Oh god, I just got the shivers. I fucking hate Gunbreaker. I hate Gunbreaker. And it's not even because it's like a bad class that hurts my hands. It has way too many buttons. Way too many fucking buttons. And I fucking hate Gunbreaker. Come on, it's crazy. Alright, anyways, before he distracts me anymore, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your guys' day to hang out with me. I super fucking appreciate it. We've had so many enlightening conversations about LGBTQ. I've learned so much over the past few weeks from so many people. So is my cat meowing? Oh no, she's just staring out the window. But I'm just really thankful that you guys trust me to give this panel this opportunity, bringing in the guests and hearing what they have to say. I'm very thankful to you guys in general because I wouldn't be able to do this if it weren't for you guys supporting me too. I hope that you guys have your own clarity when it came to any of the conversations we touched upon. And yeah, I'm just really thankful that I'm also getting the opportunity to collab with a lot of people I've wanted to collab with. It's really funny because I feel like I've collabed with some of these people like offhandedly and other things, but it's been really wonderful to have the opportunity to like do that on my own terms and set up everything on my own. So yeah, I'm just really thankful. Once the panels are over for this month, I'll definitely be doing more interesting streams where I would love to discuss more things that are not just even Pride. So we'll see what happens. There's definitely going to be a lot more opportunities where I would love to discuss about random niche topics because I love to talk. You guys didn't know. It was really funny because obviously I was giving a lot of time for the guests to speak because, that's the whole point as a host, right? I want to hear what they have to speak about. But I absolutely love talking. I love learning and I love just dissecting experiences in different worldviews because I feel like as a person, I think that I am happy if I can learn one new thing every day because I feel like I'm making a better person every step of the way. Because learning never stops, right? Learning is something that you continue to do for the rest of your life. And being able to facilitate that for you guys makes me so fucking happy. So we're going to continue the trend of rating people in the Pride shelf just to keep going with the Pride vibes. Let me see. Together for Pride. We've actually been rating a lot of flesh people lately, which has been super funny. but I think it's been really good. I want to share the Pride community with other people that are also celebrating Pride. Mods, if you could make a raid message for me, I'd really super duper ooper looper appreciate it while I go find somebody. Let's see. Let's find some cute people. Yes, of course, I'm really happy that you guys are enjoying the streams. It makes me really, really happy to see that it's been really good for you guys too. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, this person is... Wow, they've been streaming for 9 hours. Holy guac. Alright, flesh rating. I know, it's been a lot of flesh rating, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Let me see. Of course, of course. Every kiss begins with gay? Is that our raid message? Is that our raid message? Oh my goodness. Oh my god, what the hell? Alright, you little bastards. Oh, okay. Alright, let's see. Okay, so we rated that person yesterday. Oh, you know what? I think... Who is this? What are they doing? Let's go raid this person. I think they look pretty fire, so we're gonna raid them, actually. Hold on. They're playing Elden Ring right now. Their name is Drag Trashly. This is gonna be good. I like their fit. Their fit is looking kind of crazy. So yeah, definitely treat and spread kindness and respect to everyone in this raid and from my community and all of that. Thank you so much as always for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I'm always thankful that I can be a part of your day. And yeah, I love you guys so much. We have one more Pride panel tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Let me double check. Yes, tomorrow's Friday, so we have one last Pride panel for the week. I have shit to do over the weekend. We'll continue the week after. And yeah, thank you so much. Happy Pride! Happy Pride! I gotta go feed my best. What the hell? I gotta go feed my cats. Good night, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.